At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, preferred card of the New York Mets. By Dodge. Visit Dodge.com to learn more about their powerful lineup. And by the State Farm agent of the game, Hector Camillo of the Bronx. Contact Hector at HectorCamillo.com. The 42s are in evidence today. This is the 71st anniversary of the day that Jackie Robinson changed baseball and changed this country forever. A dynamic player, 10 years in the major leagues, 6 World Series. He was a trailblazer, a man who said a life is only important in how it affects other lives. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you today as the Mets play the rubber game of their series with the Brewers. It is Jackie Robinson Day. It is also a very cold day. The temperature is 41 degrees. The wind is blowing out of the east-northeast at 20 miles an hour. This is the 10th year of this ballpark. It's the first time we've ever had the windows closed in the booth. I wonder, though, how it affects the play on the field.
Well, it just shows you that this game is supposed to be played in warm weather. And when you have this kind of weather, of course the athletes are going to figure out a way to play and play well in it. But I will tell you, over the course of this year that has started in late March, this is continuous. It seems every single day playing in cold weather will weigh on not only the players but the pitchers.
Mets have not had the worst of it. Some teams have had it far worse. There have been a passel of postponements already today, 19 already this year in Major League Baseball. Meanwhile, Noah Syndergaard will take them out for the 4th time. He's been good, but not great so far in his first 3 starts.
Yeah, Gary, he hasn't had that signature game. He struck out 10 in his first outing, but after that it's been a little stops and starts for Noah, where he's had a good fastball, not a good fastball. He's had a lot of pitches fouled off. His pitch count has gone up. So I think he's really looking for that game. It'll be difficult, though, in this kind of weather.
Jhoulys Chacin quietly had a really good year for San Diego last year, signed with Milwaukee as a free agent. They've yet to see that guy.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched that great so far. You see the ERA. He pitched great in San Diego last year, did not pitch well on the road. He's looking for his signature game also.
So it's the Mets and the Brewers, rubber game of 3. Mets trying to break a rare 1-game losing streak on Jackie Robinson Day at Citi Field. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Papa John's. Get a medium 2-topping pizza and 2 sides for just $5.99 each when you choose Mets at papajohns.com with promo code NYM. By Buick, experience the new Buick with a test drive at your local Buick dealer. And by Spectrum, watch your show wherever you go with Spectrum TV. It's TV the way you want it. Get it now at spectrum.com. Be at Citi Field Saturday, May 5th. The Mets take on the Rockies at 7:10 p.m. The first 25,000 fans in attendance will receive a Yoenis Cespedes Garden Gnome, courtesy of New Balance. Looks good in the shades. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Hope he needs them again soon. Let's take a look at the road ahead presented by Buick. The Nationals come in for 3 games starting tomorrow night to close out this homestand. Then the Mets embark on a 10-game road trip, 4 in Atlanta, 3 in St. Louis, 3 in San Diego, beginning next Thursday night. Noah Syndergaard getting ready for the start this afternoon on a cold, windy day in New York as we celebrate the legacy of Jackie Robinson on the 71st anniversary of his debut. Fact that kids do not feel the cold the same way that the adults do. And these two kids, thrilled to meet their hero Todd Frazier. You can always tell that an adult knows how to deal with kids when they get down to the kids level. That's just it's just a knack for that Todd had.
I had only been on a big league field once before I became a professional player. Crazy.
Well, Noah Syndergaard is chewing the man bun. He said he might go to that after the wind got in the wind got the hair in his face in his last start. There's the lineup for the Brewers today. No Ryan Braun, whose back tightened up during the game last night. He came out and he's out of the lineup today. So Hernan Perez, their utility man, will play left field. And there's Thor on about as windy a day as he's faced as a big leaguer.
Land Rover numbers so far. We always talk about the first pitch and how important it is. None more important than for Syndergaard this year. 0-1 count, batters are hitting 152 against him. 1-0 count against those batters, 417. Defensively for the Mets this afternoon, you can see that Tomas Nido getting his third career MLB start, first this season. Reyes is in the lineup, second base. Cabrera with the day off. Cespedes, Conforto, and Nimmo as Jay Bruce gets the day off. Adrian Gonzalez with the day off.
First day off for Asdrubal Cabrera this season. Cespedes and Frazier have still started every game for the Mets this year. Brewers won last night on the strength of 3 home runs. In fact, they've hit 6 home runs in this series, accounting for all 10 runs that they've scored in the 2 games. Jonathan Villar hit the biggest one last night, an opposite field 3-run homer against Matt Harvey that got the Brewers the lead, and they held the lead on some strong pitching all night long. Syndergaard set to go, and the first pitch of this chilly afternoon is swung and missed, a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, 0-1. Syndergaard's last start in Miami on Monday, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts in those 6 innings, and he pops one inside 1-1 on a cold day when obviously the hitters are at a disadvantage. Are you more likely to just power them with fastballs?
You want to power them with fastballs. You want to get in on their hands. You want to break their bats. Change-ups away to try to get it off the end of the bat. You want to make it as uncomfortable for the hitters as you can. It's uncomfortable enough with the weather. Good change-up there. I mean, good change-up. Great change-up.
Stay warm any way you can.
That's been the bugaboo for Syndergaard. You see that pitch right there? That's a 1-2 fastball away, fouled off. That has been kind of a theme for him in his first 3 starts. They've had the ability to keep the at-bat going. 2
starts back, he lasted just 4 innings because of that, 92 pitches. Villar grounds one down to first, fair ball for Flores, and that's the first out of the day. So Syndergaard has the first out. Villar retired on a ground ball, and now Eric Thames, who's gone 0 for 5 in this series. Thames came into the series red hot, 5 home runs in his previous 6 games, but looking for his first hit in the series. And Syndergaard pops the fastball inside for ball 1. I really thought after his comments last week in Miami that we'd see the man bun today.
Yeah, especially today because the wind is whipping, especially on the left side of his face. His hair kind of coming over his face, and that's got to be. Oh, there we go. Someone with a quick bun.
Well, he had the hair in the bun in the clubhouse before the game, and he'll often do that away from the field, but he's yet to sport that out on the mound.
There still is a machismo to this game, and that is a stretch, a way to go, a ways to go.
There's the good changeup by Syndergaard, and he gets even on Thames 2-2. Well, it is his it's his trademark. It's his look. Two coming. And the fastball away, full count. Lorenzo Cain waiting on deck. By the way, that armor that Thames has on his right arm, I thought Major League Baseball had mitigated against anything that large. 3-2 coming, and he got him looking at a fastball. 2 men down. Thames looked like he hurt himself on that previous pitch, and he is limping as he heads toward the Brewers dugout. And this is what you always worry about in the cold weather. Muscle pulls can be that much more prevalent, and I'm sure this is something that concerns the Brewers, watching Thames walk gingerly back to the dugout. Here's Lorenzo Cain, and he goes after a curveball and misses, 0-1.
This is the pitch before the strikeout, and you can see him wince, bend over, try to regroup before taking that last pitch for the strikeout.
Definitely tweaked something.
I mean, the Cubs came back in yesterday's game, but that is the most pointed remarks from a manager about playing in bad weather I've ever heard from Joe Maddon. and they won the game.
He said the game never should have been played, and they came from 8 runs down to win. And probably not coincidentally, with similar weather conditions today in Chicago, they postponed the game. Postponed in Chicago, postponed in Detroit, postponed in Minnesota. It's been that kind of year in Major League Baseball. A lot of cold weather throughout the Northeast and the Midwest. 1-2 coming to Kane, and it's off the plate, a slider, 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Yankees and Tigers were hoping to play a day-night doubleheader today after being postponed yesterday, but they've been wiped out. Got a delay in Cincinnati. Fouled off by Kane. Well, here's a bit of symmetry for you.
Okay.
Everybody's wearing number 42 in deference to Jackie Robinson. The official game time temperature, 42 degrees.
Doesn't feel 42.
No. Feels more like 22. And the 2-2. Just off the corner under Wendelstedt. Kept the hand down. It's 3-2. Wendelstedt calling the balls and strikes. Chris Guccione, David Rackley, and the crew chief Larry Vanover rounding out the crew as they try to stay warm. 2 out and nobody on. 3-2 to Lorenzo Cain. And a weak cut, but he's able to stay alive. Travis Shaw would be next. Eighth pitch of the at bat coming to Cain. And he grounds that one foul. Syndergaard has played something of a stopper over the last 14 starts that he's made after a Mets loss. He is 7-3, 2.44, and the Mets are 11-3 in those starts.
That's a sign of a #1 pitcher when they can do that. Although the Brewers have won 8 of the last 11 against the Mets.
Cain keeping the bat alive as he fouls off the changeup. Well, this is a circumstance the Mets have not had to deal with often in the early season, bouncing back from a loss.
They're trying to win their 5th straight series today against the Brewers.
10th pitch of the at bat, and it's outside, ball 4, and Cain wins that battle as he draws a 2-out walk.
Boy, Cain's had some good at bats in this game, in this series.
So he made Syndergaard work hard, and now he's aboard with 2 out. Here's Travis Shaw. Shaw has a double and a home run in this series. Most of these Brewers are facing Syndergaard for the first time. He has 2 career starts against Milwaukee, but none last year, of course. He only made 7 starts last year because of injury.
Win is very similar to last night, blowing in from right field. Maybe a little across, little helping to left.
Kind of like the help Jonathan VR had last night for his unlikely 3-run homer against Matt Harvey. By the way, the walk to Cain, first base runner against Syndergaard in the 1st inning this year. He had retired the side in order in the 1st in each of his first 3 starts. Shaw goes after the fastball, and it's 1-1. Noah grew up in Mansfield, Texas, where they didn't have too many baseball games in this kind of weather.
Right.
You often wonder whether the kids who grew up in the Northeast or the upper Midwest get an advantage on a day like this. Cain takes off early. Syndergaard steps off but can't make the throw in time.
Well, everything was kind of done right. He took off early. You're always taught as a pitcher to step off first, and I think Syndergaard thought he was so far along he might have to throw that ball to second. That's where he got confused.
1-2 to Shaw.
He's got a nice little running action on that fastball. I don't think it's the 2-seamer. I think it's just a 4-seamer, kind of little tail on it.
Kane at first and 2 out. 1-2 to Shaw. And the changeup misses down. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Syndergaard running up his pitch count in the opening inning. 25 already. A 10-pitch walk to Kane, not helpful. Domingo Santana hitting 5th in the order, waiting on deck. Two coming. And again, opposing hitter able to waste away a 2-strike fastball from Syndergaard and keep the at-bat alive.
When I look at it with all the Mets pitching, I think that a lot of things we heard in spring about pitching inside have been left by the wayside. They have not really done it yet, the starters anyway.
Grounded down to first. Flores boots it. It rolls out toward the outfield rim. Kane will stay at second, and the Brewers have 2 men on the error by Wilmer Flores.
Well, the easy play, you see Wilmer, he came up and hit the lip and stayed down, but you got to stay down, work from bottom to top. He did not. He was anticipating that ball coming up waist high. It stayed down, hit him in the shoe.
So that prolongs the inning. Now 2 out and 2 on for Domingo Santana, who is 2 for 8 in this series. And Syndergaard's lengthy first inning becomes even longer. Working with Tomas Nido behind the plate. Nido getting his first start since being called up with the injuries to Darno and Plawecki. Jose Lobaton caught the first 2 games of the series.
Nido got a couple of starts late in the year last year. He's got a very strong arm, very strong defensive catcher.
Santana lifts one to right. Nimmo playing right field, waiting for it to come down. And Brandon puts it away to retire the side. 29-pitch first inning for Noah Syndergaard, but he keeps the Brewers off the board. Mets come to bat with no score. Brandon Nimmo in the starting lineup for the first time since returning from Las Vegas. Jose Reyes gets a start at second base as Asdrubal Cabrera gets his first day off. Tomas Nido his first start of the season as the Mets go up against the veteran right-hander Jhoulys Chacín.
His Toyota numbers for this year are not good. They signed him in the offseason, but won 13 games with the Padres last year. But his splits at home and the road were crazy. 9-3 at home, San Diego, 1.79 ERA. 4-7 on the road, 6.5 ERA.
The overall numbers were terrific for not a very good team. Nimmo takes a slider for a strike. Brandon 3 for 10 to start the year. This is his 4th starting assignment. Playing right field today with Conforto in center, which I found interesting.
I like the move, you know, because Conforto is going to play center field most of the time, so why move him? More reps, the more experience, the better it is. For you folks at home, Chacín pitched a lot in Colorado early in his career, has moved around a lot since then, threw a lot harder, doesn't throw as hard now, but his slider is his best pitch.
6 years in Colorado, 5 teams in the last 4 years now. Signed a 2-year, $15.5 million free agent contract with the Brewers to fill out their rotation. So far, it has not gone well. Last start in St. Louis gave up 3 runs and 5 hits over 4 2/3. Only 2 pitchers in the league have given up more runs so far this year than Chacín. And his changeup misses away 1-2. Chacín, now 30 years old, native of Venezuela. So with the Braves a few years ago. Line toward the middle, off Chacín's glove. Recovered by Shaw, but he has no play. And Nimmo has an infield hit.
Well, he's mad at himself, but you don't really catch this ball. He catches you. Just getting some leather on it. It's a pretty good job by Chacín, but he got too much leather on it. Slowed it up and no play.
Would have been interesting if he hadn't touched it at all. Did that ball have enough pace to get up the middle, or would Arcia have been able to make a play?
I think Arcia, it had a lot of pace on it, but I think Arcia was playing in such a way that he would have made that play.
So Nimmo's aboard to start the bottom of the first, and here's Michael Conforto, who's 0 for 6 in this series. 4 for 10 against Chacín, including a home run.
Thames is out there, even though despite the wincing at bat that he had against Syndergaard.
It was interesting when he went in the dugout, he did not get any immediate attention. So while it certainly looked concerning, it didn't appear to be that to the Brewers.
I don't know whether it's the cold weather, but all the sliders that Chacín has thrown so far are kind of the backup variety. He's not getting real good spin on it, but difficult conditions.
Cespedes waits on deck, and Conforto fouls one away.
Defensively for the Brewers, Shaw, Arcia, VR, and Thames. Bandy with a big home run in last night's game. Jet Bandy. And Hernan Perez, Ryan Braun left last night's game with a strained back. Lorenzo Cain and Domingo Santana.
Conforto down in the count 0-2. And Chacín misses with the breaking ball, 1-2.
He's waiting for Cannon, the galloping horse. Got nothing today. Crickets in the defense.
You know, it's Sunday afternoon.
Got to save it for the 3-man booth.
It's you know, it's a little earlier start, a little less production time. Nats are in tomorrow night.
Okay.
Big series coming up.
Collision
in the division. 1-2 coming, and the breaking ball pulled foul. Got that curveball up to Conforto. Is it just me, or has Chacín put on a few pounds since we saw him last?
He's a big guy. Certainly a big guy.
He had some really good years in Colorado. 2013, he won 14 games that year. ERA under 3.5, pitching for the Rockies, which is very impressive. And then bounced around a lot before re-emerging last year with San Diego and having his best year since then. And the Brewers took a gamble that he'd be able to replicate that this year.
109 career starts with Colorado. His ERA for his career is under 4. That's pretty good.
That is pretty amazing.
Right?
Playing half your home games at Coors Field. Conforto fouls off the fastball, and you see the fastball velocities from Chacín, 87, 88. His average fastball velocity this year has been 89.4. Last year was over 91. Now, whether that has to do with early season cold weather or whether there's some other issue with Chassin, I don't know. A hearty group of fans here today. I'm frankly shocked at how many people are in the stands.
I mean, my hat's off to you.
It is way uncomfortable out there. 1-2, just missed inside, and it's 2-2 to Conforto. And by the way, before I am remiss, kudos to all our camera people who are out in the elements today. They are taking the brunt of it. There goes Nimmo, grounded to the right side. VR makes the play on Conforto, wide, and Thames can't make the tag in time. A routine play. VR took his time, took a glance at Nimmo, and then threw wide of the bag. And on the error by VR, the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, he kind of styled it, and with the ski mask and everything else on it, boy, that was a close play on the tag. Did Thames get over there and get the elbow? No.
Nope.
Good call by the first base umpire, Chris Guccione.
And you see how Guccione moved his head to make sure he had the right angle so he could see space between the glove and the arm of Conforto. That's very well umpired. And it does not appear as though the Brewers are going to challenge it.
You know, there's the shot of the umpire. See, just getting that right angle. And these are the little things that just you have to will yourself to not let the elements get to you. And wearing a ski mask doesn't help.
So Cespedes gets an opportunity with 2 men on, an infield hit and an error, putting a couple of men aboard. Cespedes 3 for 8 in this series with a couple of RBIs, drove in the only Mets run last night. The Mets only had 3 singles last night, and none of them was well struck. Cespedes hit a bloop to right to get a run in, and he takes a sinker for a strike. Cespedes now with 12 runs batted in, which is in the top 10 in the league, despite the fact that he has only 11 hits.
Good ratio if it continues the rest of the year, if he gets 150 hits.
Well, he's 6 for 13 with runners in scoring position and 5 for 40 in all his other at bats. And it's below the knees, a ball and a strike. So he's picked his spots.
I was telling you about the road and home splits last year in a San Diego uniform. He had one of those nightmare starts here. Chassin only went 2/3 of an inning in his start, gave up 8 hits and 7 earned runs.
His lifetime ERA against the Mets is over 6. Nimmo at second, Conforto at first with nobody out. And Cespedes fouls off the fastball, 1-2. There are those splits that Ronnie referred to. I mean, San Diego's a great pitcher's park.
Yeah. But I mean, the discrepancy between the 2 ERAs, that's just, you just don't see that.
One other thing about Chassin, doesn't work very fast. 1-2 coming, and Cespedes goes down swinging. He got fooled badly on a pitch low out of the strike zone, and that's the first out for Chassin.
It was just a fastball that Chassin kind of turned over, a 2-seamer, and the ball wasn't even close. This ball hits what, before the plate or right after it? Right after it. And Bandy with the scoop.
You don't see a hitter strike out on a fastball in the dirt very often, right?
That's right. But these conditions, I've already seen some strange plays.
So now Todd Frazier, 4 for 5 in this series, a couple of home runs in the series opener on Friday night. Bats with 2 on and 1 out. And it's probably in deference to the elements, but the Milwaukee outfield is playing particularly shallow against a guy like Frazier, who has so much power.
Left fielder's playing, I think, how he should play, but the center fielder, Kane, who plays shallow anyway, is shallow. Santana playing like you'd play a pitcher.
And the curveball from Chassin in for a strike. Well, we saw it last night, and the wind is similar in its direction today, that the ball's getting a boost going out to left and really getting knocked down going to right. Matt Harvey got burned by that VR home run that looked off the bat like it was going to be a foul ball. It was not. And Chassin gets the slider in for a strike, and it's 1-2.
Only problem you have, and not for Kane because he's such a great fielder. Do you start moving players who are not great fielders into positions they're not used to? It gets a little awkward for them.
2-2 to Frazier.
Just trying to cover his face, keep the wind out of his face.
Not a fit day out for anybody. Two coming, and it's inside. Frazier lays off 3-2. Boy, his selectivity has changed so much. He's already drawn 11 walks this year. That's top 5 in the league. In fact, his on base percentage is now top 10 in the league. And he's worked this count to 3-2.
See if he gets a 3-2 breaking ball after all the fastballs in from Chassin.
Nimmo at second, Conforto at first with 1 out. 22nd pitch for Chassin, and Frazier lines one to the left for a base hit. Nimmo to third, he'll be waved home. Perez makes the throw to the plate, it skips on through. Nimmo gets in safely, and the Mets have an early 1-0 lead. Accurate throw by Perez, but Nimmo able to beat it to the plate. RBI hit for Todd Frazier, and it's 1-0 New York.
What a nice at bat. Took some real close pitches, came back with a fastball. He was ready. Ball was hit right on the button. But Perez is a guy who's more of a middle infielder. Doesn't have that real strong outfielder's arm. Accurate, but not good enough. And Nimmo almost took out Hunter Wendelstedt.
So 1-0 New York as they take advantage of the error on the infield. And now Wilmer Flores bats with 2 on. And Bandy down in the dirt to block the breaking ball by Chassin.
I mean, right on this fastball away. Eyes wide open. And Nimmo showed a lot of speed there. And you know, the reason he scored is because he had a big secondary lead. He knew there was 2 outs. He knew there was 2 strikes. Sorry, 1 out, and knew there were 2 strikes.
Wilmer pops one up. Bandy sheds the mask, gets rid of it effectively, and makes the grab for the 2nd out. And I say that because Bandy tripped over his own mask, which he dropped at his feet earlier in this series. This time he made sure to fling it away.
See, he's laughing at the bench. He says, see where I threw the mask? I'm good. Stephen Vogt, who's the catcher who's hurt right now, he's like, okay, very good. Fundy's much better.
This is how you improve. Learn from your mistakes. So Flores retired for the 2nd out, and now Ahmed Rosario, who is 1 for 6 in this series, had the Mets' first hit last night against Chase Anderson, a 5th inning infield hit. Conforto at second, Frazier at first with 2 out. And Rosario takes the breaking ball for a strike.
This was the lead I was talking about. See how he keeps going? He's like got those 3 or 4 hops that put him in position not only to get closer to third base and get a kind of a running start or walking start, but also got him the good angle where he could cut third base really well.
Got fouled by Rosario 0-2. And a quick and decisive move by Glenn Sherlock to wave him. And, you know, Perez made as good a throw as he's going to make, and Nimmo beat it anyway, which shows that it was the proper call.
Outfielders would make a 1-hop throw. That was a 2-hop throw from Perez.
Chassin ahead 0-2, and Rosario takes the sinker down 1-2. Jose Reyes is playing second base and batting 7th. He's standing on deck. So Syndergaard threw 29 pitches in the top of the inning. Chassin's already thrown 27 in the bottom of the inning. It's forced both teams' fielders to stand around in the cold a lot more than they'd like early in this game. By the way, it's not only cold and windy, it's supposed to start raining soon.
Okay. Well, we got that going for us.
Yeah. And Rosario strikes out of the slider to end the inning. So Chassin with a couple of strikeouts. Mets get an unearned run and lead 1-0 after 1. 80 degrees yesterday?
I was in the middle of it.
It changes so quickly. Noah Syndergaard with a 1-0 lead. By the way, that run the Mets scored in the bottom of the first was an earned run despite the error. Hernan Perez leads off the second against Syndergaard and takes the fastball low and away for ball one. Perez getting the start in left field. Ryan Braun's back tightened up last night. Perez's 7th start this year at 4 different positions. He played 8 different positions last year. He's already pitched a game this year. Jack of all trades. One from Noah. And the curveball spins in for a strike, 1-2.
Boy, that's a good pitch there. Tight. Perfect for a strike. Hitter can't offer at that pitch.
See, we were talking about Matt Harvey last night, and he used to throw that pitch.
Yep. And
it used to be effective for him. And it would seem at this point in his career that he is, at least for now, abandoned that curveball.
I think it's a mistake. Matt knows much better than I how he feels and how that pitch feels in his hand. But more weapons right now are better for him than less. You know, it gives you options. You know, sometimes you come into a game, the slider's working, so you don't need the curve. Sometimes you come into the curve's working, so you use that. And you know, that's why you want to have those options in case all hands are not on deck.
3-2 to Perez, and he fouls it off. Now, just to play devil's advocate,
yeah.
I've heard you say that sometimes a pitcher who throws both a slider and a curveball, they tend to fuse after a while.
Well, sometimes you end up becoming a jack of all trades, master of none. But at this point, in the way he can get hitters out, I think he needs more weapons, not less.
Another long at bat against Syndergaard is just not putting hitters away with that fastball. He had a 10-pitch marathon with Kane that resulted in a walk in the first inning. He's about to throw an 8th pitch to Perez, and you see what the pitch count has been like for him recently, especially that start against the Phillies. 92 in 4 innings. Perez pops this one up. This should stay in play for Flores. And Wilmer with the one-hand grab, one away. Well, before the game today, it was a great joy to see Rachel Robinson out on the field. Rachel, 95 years young, with her son and daughter Sharon and David accompanying Akintunde Ahmad, who threw out the first pitch. She is a Jackie Robinson Foundation scholar. And Mookie Wilson doing the catching.
Nice.
Never forget the day in 1997 when they retired Jackie's number in perpetuity, and Rachel was there with President Clinton at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, I remember
the 50th anniversary of Jackie's debut.
I remember watching the festivities of that game because of that in California. Just amazing. The Angels. Sharon Robinson.
Orlando Arcia checks his swing on a curveball, but he went around, and it's 1-2.
Watch this pitch. Is it the wind or movement by Syndergaard?
Ooh, that was wicked.
That's both, I think.
And Arcia down on strikes for the second out. Second strikeout for Syndergaard. And there are 2 out in the inning.
That's more of what we see from Syndergaard. When he gets ahead, go sit down. A nice frame by Nito.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Jet Bandy, who homered in the game last night against Matt Harvey. His first home run of the season. Bandy has started all 3 games behind the plate, with Manny Pena suffering a calf pull that has kept him out. Ronnie mentioned Stephen Vogt on the disabled list, so the Mets aren't the only team with catching injuries. Bandy gets jammed on the fastball, and it's 0-2.
That two-seamer is just nasty.
Syndergaard trying to put a quick finish to this inning. 1-2 to Bandy with the pitcher Chacin on deck.
That's a good pitch. Move the hitter's feet.
One-two coming, and he struck him out to end the inning. 1-2-3 for Syndergaard in the second after getting the lead. He's got 3 strikeouts. Middle of the second, 1-0 New York. Today, but these are some of the other early African-American players in the big leagues, including Larry Doby. Was a great start. Dan Bankhead, the first African-American pitcher in the big leagues. Roy Campanella, Satchel Paige, Minnie Minoso, great stars. Don Newcomb, Monty Irvin. Got some Hall of Famers on that list.
You know, just watching Don Newcomb there as Sundays in MLB have become Shohei Ohtani Day. You know, in his career, Don Newcomb was one of the best hitters in the National League. And one year, he went 20-5 and 31 games started, but also in 125 plate appearances, pinch hit a lot, hit .359 with a .395 on base.
That's legit.
So there have been people that have done it.
If they'd had the DH in those days.
That's right.
Maybe he might have DH'd on days he didn't pitch. Jose Reyes looking for his first hit of the season. He's gone 0 for 12 to start the year, kind of reminiscent of his April last year. And Jose takes out of the strike zone 2-1. Last year Reyes hit 174 in April, not much better in May and June, but then on a really good second half. Hit 288 after the All-Star break. And he lofts this one to center. Kane is right there. And he puts away Reyes for the first out. Here's a great quote from Martin Luther King Jr. on Jackie Robinson. Jackie was a pilgrim that walked in the lonesome byways toward the high road of freedom. He was a sit-inner before sit-ins, a freedom rider before freedom rides. And I think it tells you a lot about the arc of the civil rights movement. I mean, Jackie Robinson made his debut with the Dodgers 7 years before Brown versus Board of Education made desegregation the law of the land. It was before the Montgomery bus boycott. It was before any of the other seminal moments in the civil rights movement that are now part of our history. And it's part of the reason why Branch Rickey insisted that Jackie, at least for the early part of his tenure with the Dodgers, not fight back.
Yeah.
Because there was so much resistance and he needed to be the model citizen and just turn the other cheek.
But I think for maybe some of our younger people, you think of it as a crucial event in baseball. As Gary said, so much larger than that. It's one of the most crucial events in the civil rights movement.
Tomas Nido batting 8th in the order. And Chassin falls behind 3-1. There's Branch Rickey, who as general manager of the Dodgers signed Jackie Robinson. Got the Brooklyn Trust Company calendar in the background.
That's
3-2 to Nido. Dodgers had their offices right on Montague Street in Brooklyn Heights. And of course played at Ebbets Field in Flatbush.
Drove there once just because the C, they have a little plaque there.
Chassin strikes out Nido with the slider for the second out. Third strikeout for Chassin. You ever see the pictures of the day they knocked down Ebbets Field with the wrecking ball in the shape of a baseball?
Yeah, I did.
They brought out Gladys Gooding, who was the organist. And she played at the funeral of Ebbets Field.
Jeez.
Noah Syndergaard looking for his first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 5. 4 career home runs. And he hits this one in the air to center. Back goes Kane, going back. Warning track, and it's over his head and hopping against the wall. Syndergaard with a 405-foot double for his first hit of the season. Kane went back incredulously.
Yes.
Like he couldn't believe that a pitcher hit the ball that far.
Well, he kept going back and figured that the wind was going to knock it down at some point and bring it back to him, and it never did. It's not that it carried, it just flew through the wind.
It was just hit really well by a really strong guy.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked throughout the series how Kane plays shallow, and this time he got burned by that. By one big Syndergaard swing. So he's at second with 2 out. Brandon Nimmo the batter. Nimmo lined one off the pitcher's glove for an infield hit his first time up and scored the only run of this game. Nimmo playing right field today, giving Jay Bruce a day off.
Interesting. That's got Kane a couple of steps back. It's got Santana a couple of steps back. We're documenting how shallow they were playing before.
Syndergaard's 5th career double to go with his 4 home runs. And the backdoor breaking ball misses. Ball and a strike to Nimmo. Chassin threw 28 pitches in the first inning, got 2 quick outs here in the second before Syndergaard's 2-base hit. I would have to think that if you were a pitcher on a day like this, you would do everything possible to quicken your pace.
I mean, you got to get some kind of street cred with your teammates in these games. And then don't think they're not out there talking. Like a lot of times they're looking at each other in the infield like, are you kidding me? Will this guy throw the baseball? I'm freezing out here.
You got guys with their throwing hands in a pocket or in a hand warmer or blowing on them, just waiting for something to happen. And there's a curveball for a strike, and it's 2-2.
Looks like a quarterback there.
Not a bad idea.
That's smart.
Anything that works. And at some point, nothing does.
That's right.
2-2 coming. And the backdoor slider misses, and it's 3-2 to Nimmo.
only thing that works, and this is not going to happen in this game, the only thing that works in these kind of games is you play in about 2 hours and 15 minutes and you win the game.
Yeah, that 2:15 thing's not going to happen.
That's all right.
Three and two to Nimmo with Conforto on deck. And Brandon gets under one to right field. Santana coming toward the line. The second baseman VR is over into foul ground. VR makes the catch. That ball went nowhere and then blew toward the stands. Nimmo retired. Syndergaard will go back to the mound up 1-0.
Come up here. Let's get the glider up here. Ed, you've been in professional baseball.
We're number one, Lindsay. It's a wonderful feeling. Wonderful feeling.
And you were saying back in August when October rolls around.
When October rolls around, the Mets will wear the crown. East side, west side. How about that?
And it was that not only solidified Ed Charles in Met lore as the glider who was part of the '69 World Champions, but also established him as the poet laureate of the New York Mets.
Wow.
And of course passed away at the age of 84 in March. Some of the quotes from his Mets teammates, and he was joy. He was an absolute joy to be around.
And on this day, in honoring Jackie Robinson, Ed grew up in Daytona Beach, and when the train came down with Jackie on it going to Vero Beach spring training, Eddie, who was I think 13 or 14 years old when he told me, ran after the train as far as he could run, then put his ear on the tracks to hear it as long as he could hear it, because that gave him hope that he could do something with his life.
Jhoulys Chacín leading off in the third inning against Noah Syndergaard. Well, and Ed had the hard road to the big leagues. You know, he didn't make it to the major leagues till he was 29 with the Kansas City A's, and that '69 team was not only the high point of his career, it was the end of his career. It was his last season. He was 36. He was the elder statesman on that otherwise very young Mets championship team. But he wrote lots of poetry, and in fact every year at the welcome home dinner or other events he would write poems for the occasion.
That's right.
And just a wonderful sweet man. 2-2 to Chacín. Never hang a slider to the glider.
Scored the game-winning run in Game 2 of the World Series, and strikeout there of Chacín. And after he was done playing, did a lot of social work, amazing social work in the Bronx.
So 1 out and nobody on. 3 straight strikeouts for Syndergaard. And here's Jonathan VR, who grounded out his first time up.
The last time I saw Eddie, he was sitting right in front of us here, just unassuming, watching the game. And at different times, Keith and I both left the booth to go down and say hello to him. That's how, you know, you felt about Eddie. He was just royalty.
There's a great picture the day the Mets beat the Orioles in Game 5 of the World Series, and it's shot from the first base side of Jerry Kuzman just through the last pitch, and the look of joy on Ed Charles's face as he leaped in the air was just it was stunning. It was one of those memorable images that stays with you forever. He was a man of great joy, but also, you know, some of the poetry that he wrote post there it is. Some of the poetry that he wrote post career was not only about baseball but about racism and some of the things that he endured as a young player growing up in the South as well. Strike 3 called, and VR is out on strikes, and that is 4 strikeouts in a row for Noah Syndergaard. 2 out in the 3rd.
Well, Noah's starting to get heated up here. We were talking about before, when he gets ahead, when he's at his best, he puts you away. Starting to do that now.
5 strikeouts on the day for Noah, and the first one was against Eric Thames, who bats here with 2 out and nobody on. Fastball strike, 0-1. You would think 12.4 strikeouts would get you at the top of the list, but not the way strikeouts are mounting in the game. How about Patrick Corbin? You wouldn't expect to see him on top. Robbie Ray maybe, but
interesting once we see Arizona, if Corbin is using some of those analytics in his game, because I've always thought of him as a guy that gets a lot of ground balls. And
Diamondbacks won again last night, beat the Dodgers. They're 11-3. They've beaten the Dodgers 11 straight times in the regular season. Unfortunately, they were unable to beat them last October. They got swept in the division series. Shades of '88.
Right, exactly. So looks like the Brewers are having a hard time now that Noah's zoned in, even getting the bat off their shoulder.
2-2 to Thames. Struck him out. And Syndergaard strikes out the side in the 3rd. He's halfway to Seaver. He struck out 5 in a row. 1-0 Mets in the 3rd. Are on the go with MLB.tv. Your subscription allows you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. On a cold, windy day at Citi Field, the Mets have a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the third. Jhoulys Chacín, who has been working at a snail's pace, will face Michael Conforto leading off in the bottom of the third. Conforto hit a routine ground ball to second. Jonathan Villar threw it wide of the bag for an error, and that set the stage for the Mets scoring the only run of this game in the first. And a changeup in for a strike. Jesus Aguilar is going to replace Eric Thames at first base. So Thames, who had apparently tweaked something during his first at bat, stayed in, took a second at bat, but now is out of the game.
Looked like some kind of leg injury, or who knows, but
I couldn't tell if it was a leg or an oblique, or because it came on a check swing, which makes you think, you know, something in the oblique area, but who knows. Could be a back issue. So we basically covered all the bases now.
Covered everything.
Head to toe.
Either the lower or upper half.
Well, it is, you know, it's hockey playoff season. You know, there the injuries are either upper body or lower body.
Come on, those guys play with broken legs, broken arms. Hockey players laugh at baseball players.
Conforto pulls one past Aguilar, who didn't make much of an effort for it. And Conforto has a leadoff hit. So the Mets have their fourth hit against Chacín. Conforto's first hit in this series. And that'll bring up Yoenis Cespedes for the man on. Here's Spectrum high-speed pitch. Well, this isn't fair. Could have been more of a gap than that.
Yeah, it might be the biggest differential we've seen all year.
Cespedes struck out on a sinker his first time up. Conforto at first and nobody out. And breaking ball in for a strike. Another breaking ball. This one's popped up shallow center. Kane with a long way to come and gets there. And Conforto goes back to first. So Cespedes retired, one away. So 1 out and 1 on. Now Todd Frazier. We talked, and we have talked a lot about the fact that Frazier's selectivity has increased over the last couple of years. He had the highest walk rate of his career last year, and he's at an even higher walk rate early this season. The other way to look at it is the number of pitches he's seen per plate appearance, which has gone up now for 3 straight years. As recently as 2015, he was at 3.78 pitches per plate appearance. This year he's at 4.47, which is a significant mid-career change for Todd Frazier. I would be interested in how many guys are able to make that kind of an adjustment in terms of their chase rate, in terms of their selectivity at that point in their career.
Where it's that large of a change. You know, what's interesting to me is Todd's probably been, he's been a star since he's 9 years old, right? So everything has probably come pretty easy to him as far as the offensive side of hitting a baseball. And maybe he's one of the few that has really delved deeper and said, hey, okay, this is how I've hit my entire life. How can I make myself better by changing a couple of things, tweaking a few things?
Well, not swinging at balls and swinging at strikes is always a good form.
Always.
But I think we've seen even more than that. He used to be, at least to my recollection, a dead pull hitter.
Yeah.
And we've seen a different kind of a hitter in his first few weeks here.
Dead pull hitter and a guy that wanted to hit the ball 450 feet every time he was up at the plate. And I think he's a more complete player than I remember him in Cincinnati.
Conforto at first and 1 out, and the curveball stays up and in Frazier, and it's 3-1.
And I think he's shown last year and showed in the postseason with the Yankees that, you know, if you don't hit for a high average doesn't mean you can't do some positive things for your club. Defensive loan.
And he draws another walk. That's the 12th walk he's picked up this year. That's in the top 5 in the National League. First one given out today by Chacin. So now the Mets have 2 men on. The Brewers spend a mound visit. Get Bandy out to talk to Chacin. And Wilmer, who came up with 2 men on and fouled out his first time up, will get another crack with 2 aboard. Conforto at second, Frazier at first with 1 out. And Wilmer takes a slider down for ball 1. Wilmer getting a start against a right-hander today. Generally has been starting against the lefties. Mets will face lefty Tuesday night. Gio Gonzalez will make that start. The Nats have not announced a starter for tomorrow night, which is interesting. It's A.J. Cole's turn, and we saw how difficult things have been for Cole.
Yeah.
But it looks like it might be Jeremy Hellickson tomorrow night,
who they signed late.
They appear to have gotten him up to speed, and he looks like he's ready to slot in, so that might be the move. Another breaking ball. That one's in. 1-2. So DeGrom against maybe Hellickson tomorrow. Wheeler against Gio Gonzalez Tuesday, and Matz against Roark on Wednesday. Still no Daniel Murphy. He's heading for extended spring training, but he's still at least a week or 2 away from coming back after off-season knee surgery. Wilmer lunges for that slider and fouls it off.
I mean, there's got to be some residual soreness in there for Murph. That's his 3rd knee surgery that I know he's had.
And then the Nats have a bunch of other injury issues too. Adam Eaton's now on the DL after he re-injured that ankle against the Mets. Anthony Rendon fouled a ball off his toe the other day. Hasn't played the last couple. I don't think Rendon's going to be a DL candidate, but I don't know what his availability is going to be for that series. That breaking ball is yanked foul, and Flores continues the at-bat. Rosario waiting on deck. Chacin's pitch count continues to balloon. The hoodie a necessity today.
It's the right weather for that sweater.
It's got a glove on each hand. And Wilmer pops this one up. Bandy coming back for a look and just runs out of room. First row behind the screen. And again, a good job of mask shedding by the young catcher. Seventh pitch of the at bat coming to Wilmer. And the fastball hit out to right field. Santana back. He's got it lined up. Tagging at second, Conforto. He'll go over to third. And there are 2 out. So the Mets have runners at the corners with 2 down. And now Rosario, who struck out on a slider out of the strike zone his first time up. Conforto at third, Frazier at first with 2 out. And Chassin, who has given up a bunch of base runners, so far only tagged for 1 run, looking to limit the damage again. And Rosario takes that front door slider for a strike.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of strikes on that slider, starting right at the hitter, bending over the inside part of the plate.
You talked about how that's his go-to pitch.
Yeah.
First 3 starts of the year, he threw that slider 34% of the time. And there's another one, ball and a strike.
Well, he's become a breaking ball pitcher because he just doesn't want to throw his fastball that much, because he's lost probably a foot on that fastball from 92, 93 down to 88, 89.
One now to Rosario.
You know, when he's working his best, that pitch is more away, but you know, it doesn't seem to be able to get it out in front today, so it's staying on the inside part.
That one away, but now he's behind Rosario, 3-1. Ahmed has drawn only 1 walk. Struck out 15 times. That's obviously an area that Rosario is trying to work on, to be more selective, draw the occasional walk, get in better hitters counts. He's got one now, and he takes a 3-1 slider for a strike. So 5 straight sliders by Chassin to the young shortstop.
It just tells you what the book is on Rosario for a guy like Chassin. He's going to go slider, 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 and this one just catches the bottom of the strike zone and the outside part. Rosario's been very good with 2 outs, though, RBI situations.
So Frazier will be running with 3 and 2 and 2 down. Aguilar is going to continue to hold him on, keeping that right side hole open.
Silly.
And Rosario fouls off a 5th straight slider. Or is it 6th?
It might be 6th.
6th. Too cold, I lost count.
I mean, this is the part of the game that happens all the time. Someone on the bench should be signaling to Aguilar, back up, bro. Get behind the runner at first base.
Chassin up over 70 pitches in the 3rd inning. Again, the 3-2 fastball, and he missed with it. He surprised Rosario, but didn't get the call, and now the Mets have the bases loaded. And Chassin, you saw him say, "Wow!" He thought he had him struck out.
Well, Wendelstadt's been calling that slider curveball inside, but he has not been calling that fastball inside.
After 6 straight sliders, he figured, okay, I'll surprise him. He did, but Wendelstadt didn't give him the call. So now here's Reyes, who flied out to center his first time up, still looking for that elusive first hit of the year. This would be an excellent spot for it. And Jose takes a fastball for a strike. A single and 2 walks have filled the bases with 2 out. And Jose takes a letter high strike, and quickly it's 0-2.
It's almost like he went up there guessing he was going to face some sliders and caught 2 straight fastballs.
Conforto at third, Frazier at second, Rosario at first with 2 down. 75th pitch upcoming for Chassin, trying to finish off the 3rd inning. And the backdoor slider misses. 1-2 to Reyes. One-two coming. Popped up behind third. Who's going to get it? In comes Perez, and he makes the catch to retire the side. Faking out the fans. Don't win friends that way.
These guys ever been to New York?
Chassin gets out of a bases loaded jam. Still 1-0 New York. fun today.
Yes.
Not making a lot of friends as he fakes throwing the ball to a fan, and then he gives it to Orlando Arcia, and he fakes throwing the ball to the fan. Seen Joey Votto do that.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to, you know, make a lot of friends. Obviously got a big kick out of it.
Well, I never understand that. The fans are undefeated.
Well, here's the thing. As Lorenzo Cain leads off in the 4th. If it was a fan who had been heckling him, I get it. But now he'll just get heckled more.
Yeah.
Because you're right. The fans are undefeated.
Heckled is part of the game. I mean, jeez.
Cain goes down on strikes. That's 6 strikeouts in a row for Noah Syndergaard.
Whoa.
And he has really found his groove.
Good change up there, too, to Cain. So he's been doing it with everything: the slider, sinker, four-seamer, and changeup. See the grip, that middle finger on that seam. Look at how that turns late.
So 1 out and nobody on to the 4th. Here's Travis Shaw, who reached on Nair his first time up. Syndergaard struck out Arcia and Bandy to finish the 2nd. He struck out Chassin, VR, and Thames in the 3rd, and he has struck out Cain to start the 4th. Major League record for consecutive strikeouts was set here in Queens on an afternoon in April in 1970. when George Thomas Seaver struck out the last 10 San Diego Padres. Al Ferrara started and ended the streak.
Boy, last 10.
0-2 to Shaw. And he gets a piece of that one and pulls it foul. Well, we were talking early in the game, ironically enough, about the difficulty Syndergaard was having putting away hitters. Right at the moment, he's not having trouble putting away the hitters.
Like he flipped a switch.
Again, the 0-2. Struck him out. Got him with a changeup. 7 in a row for Noah Syndergaard. 8 for the game.
I mean, there's a 1.5 feet of break on this changeup. See where it starts, middle of the plate. See where it ends up. A foot off the plate. Nito can't even get his glove around, has to backhand it with all that movement.
So 2 out for Domingo Santana. And he takes a fastball down for ball 1. Santana flied to right his first time up. And now 2-0. Santana just got a piece of that 2-0 curveball. Never know where that's going to go in the wind. And another curveball has him flailing, and it's 2-2. Well, he's got to have some idea of the way his strikeouts are piling up. And you have to figure he's looking for the K here. 2-2 to Santana. Struck him out. 8 strikeouts in a row for Noah Syndergaard. He's heading for some history. 1-0 Mets. Home fourth inning, Tomas Nido leads off against Jhoulys Chacín. Nido struck out his first time up, making his first start of the season and the third of his career. Just turned 24 years old on Thursday. And the curveball hit down to third, knocked down by Shaw, plenty of time. Low throw, scooped out by Aguilar, one away. Noah Syndergaard coming up. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, time for this week's edition of #AskGelbs, where fans send in their questions. I go out and find the answer. This week's question comes via Instagram from @Adam and Bandit, who wanted to know from Adrian Gonzalez what the conversations are like when he's at first base and a guy on the opposition is at the base with him. Gave a litany of great answers, but his favorite story came in 2007 when Adrian was having a conversation with Ryan Howard about hitting, and he asked Ryan Howard what type of bat he uses. Howard said he used a 35-inch bat because he likes it to be more like a golf swing, use the bat for leverage. So Adrian Gonzalez said, you know what, why don't you send me one of your bats, I'll try it out. He hit a double and a home run the first game he used that 35-inch bat. And ever since 2007, he's been using that same bat that Ryan Howard sent him.
Wow. That's pretty impressive as Syndergaard strikes out for the second out.
Probably not that impressive to the Philadelphia Phillies pitcher.
Probably not so, but I'm surprised that even now at age 35 that he continues to use that long bat. I would have thought maybe he would have shortened up at some point since then.
Yeah, like 34 and a half seems pretty standard. 32 ounces is kind of the standard bat. 35 is a long bat.
Here's Brandon Nimmo, who's 1 for 2. And he socks one out to center field, chasing Kane back to the warning track. Back at the wall, he leaps, can't get it. Nimmo around second, on his way to third. It's retrieved by Perez, and Nimmo will stop at third with a triple. Kane right back at the fence, couldn't make the connection, and Nimmo has a 2-out, 3-base hit.
Well, Kane timed this, and I thought he was going to get it for a second, but just over his glove. Crashed into the wall, and by the time it caromed off the wall, the left fielder Perez had to come and back him up. You're just so used to him making those plays because he's a highlight reel kind of center fielder, but triple for Nimmo.
Second career triple for Nimmo. The Mets with a 2-out base runner, and Michael Conforto will try and get him in. Michael had a base hit his last time up, 1 for 2, and he leans out of the way of a changeup, ball 1. And that's 2 that the Mets have gotten over Kane's head. Syndergaard with the double in the second, now Nimmo's triple. And it's 2-0 to Conforto with Cespedes on deck.
So the ball being knocked down a little bit to right field, but not to center.
And now they're going to give Conforto an intentional walk and pitch to Cespedes with 2 men on. Wow. Gives you an idea how Cespedes has been struggling lately and again today. It's a half an abracadabra walk because they did throw it 2 balls.
Cadabra walk then.
There you go.
Boy. Every second guesser in the world just got in line.
Now the press box PA just announced that that was catcher's interference. I did not see that. Did you?
I did not.
So we'll go back and check. Here's Cespedes, and he pops one up into shallow right field. VR out, Santana in, and VR stays with it, uses 2 hands to make sure, and that retires the side. Syndergaard's got 8 straight strikeouts. He'll take that to the mound for the 5th. warming up for the 5th inning. He is on quite a roll right now. 8 consecutive strikeouts, 2 shy of a major league record. And he'll face 6, 7, and 8 in the Milwaukee batting order in the 5th inning. Hernan Perez will lead off. Hit a foul pop-up to Wilmer Flores his first time up. And that one spins low and in for ball 1. 9 strikeouts, including the last 8 Milwaukee batters. And he pops the fastball on the outside edge, 1-1. Last met with 8 in a row. That was memorable. Jacob deGrom tied a major league record by striking out the first 8 batters, tied Jim DeShay's big league record. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2.
Zach Cozart is the one that ended it, the pitcher for Miami that day.
So Perez, who fooled the fans by not tossing a ball in the stands, lines one into left field, and he has broken the streak for Syndergaard with a leadoff hit. A 1-2 curveball, and Perez has the first Milwaukee hit of the afternoon.
Well, good pitch by Syndergaard. See that dot on that curveball. Ball was down off the end of the bat by Perez and just dumped it in to left field.
So a leadoff hit for Perez after Syndergaard had retired 10 in a row. And here's Orlando Arcia, who started the strikeout streak when he fanned in the 2nd. The official scorer has corrected himself about the way Conforto reached base in the last half inning. It was indeed an intentional walk and not catcher's interference.
Bold call, though.
Considering he didn't swing, taken inside. It's hard to have catcher's interference on a non-swing, right? I guess it wouldn't be that bold otherwise.
Got our attention, though, didn't he?
He did. Milwaukee bullpen starts cranking. Pitchers spot 2 batters away. Runner goes, and it's grounded down to first. Flores has to take the out there. On the hit and run play, Perez goes down to 2nd. So 1 out of the inning. Tomorrow at 6, get an inside look at the Mets-Nationals series, plus a preview of the Yankees-Marlins matchup, as our panel of insiders breaks down the latest New York baseball news on Baseball Night in New York. Presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers, tomorrow at 6, only on SNY. Taylor Williams, first man up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Ryan Braun is out on deck to be a pinch hitter, held out of the lineup today because of back stiffness. Chet Bandy is the batter with the tying run at 2nd and 1 out. And he fouls off the first pitch fastball off his hands. Strike 1. Bandy struck out his first time up. Syndergaard with 9 strikeouts, 1 shy of his season high. He struck out 10 on opening day against the Cardinals. One to Bandy.
Hernan Perez got a really good lead there. He's thinking about it.
Reyes playing right behind him, trying to keep him close. And this time he gives him a look. Noah had 80 pitches with 1 out in the 5th inning. He threw 90 in 6 innings in his last start in Miami. Those strikeouts eating up pitches. 29 in the first inning. Perez runs the pitch inside. Nito's throw is not in time. Nice effort by Frazier, who caught that ball awkwardly and put a tag on Perez.
Well, he had his foot in front of the bag, but it was so obvious from the pitch before. Don't understand why the Mets didn't put on a couple of plays. See how Frazier had his whole body really in front of the bag. Perez had to get through him. Good footwork by Nito. Tried his best to get rid of it, but Perez had such a huge jump.
I don't think that Todd ever tagged him. Nope. Infield comes in, 2-1 count, and Bandy swings and misses at a changeup, and it's 2-2. So with all those strikeouts that Noah has amassed, now he's reached a point where he absolutely needs a strikeout. With the tying run at third and 1 out. 2-2 to Bandy. Off the corner, and it's 3-2. 99 miles an hour, the hardest pitch he's thrown this afternoon. Ryan Braun set to pinch hit on deck.
Difficult choice, but his changeup has been his best pitch so far.
3-2 coming to Bandy. And he grounds one foul. And right back to that changeup. Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming. Strike three call. Big strikeout for Syndergaard. Bandy thought it was low, and he barks at Hunter Wendelstedt. He's got to watch out. He is the only healthy catcher for Milwaukee. Cannot afford to get thrown out of this game. Craig Counsell is going to come out to make sure he doesn't. And now, I don't know if it's Bandy or Counsell, but somebody has been thrown out of the game.
Boy, that's going to hurt if Pena can't play.
I mean, Manny Pena has been down with a calf injury and unavailable so far in this series, and if Bandy just got run, that means that Pena's going to have to play.
Yeah, but you got to be smart enough to know that your second string catcher is hurting and not argue with the umpire in a way that's going to get you thrown out.
Well, that is a very big strikeout for Syndergaard and a very big loss for Milwaukee.
See where the pitch is on our G pitch cast, and Bandy had an argument. That ball's down. Great movement, but the ball's down.
And not framed particularly well by Nito either. It's not like he sold it.
Hard to frame it, though.
Yeah.
Had so much movement. I'm thinking that Counsell got thrown out and not Bandy because Counsell came out of the dugout.
We'll find out. Now, Braun had been out on deck to pinch hit, but apparently that was just a ruse, and Chacin is batting for himself, which is interesting.
Yeah, it was Counsell, because once he came out of the dugout, Wendelstedt, that's like arguing pitches. You get thrown out.
Which is, that's fine for Milwaukee. Certainly better for them that the manager gets thrown out than their only catcher, their only healthy catcher. So Syndergaard with his 10th strikeout as he got Bandy looking. His second double-digit strikeout game of this year and the 13th of his career. And Chacin fouls that one off, and it's 1-2.
You work as a hitter to take a good at-bat against one of the best pitchers in the league, and the ball was down. Simple as that.
I'll take it.
Oh, yeah.
1-2 coming. In the dirt, and a good stop by Nito to keep that tying run at third.
Those are the defensive skills we were talking about. This was nasty, and he made it look easy and catches it in the glove, in fact.
Syndergaard has not thrown as many sliders in this game as he has early this season. 2-2 to Chacin. And his hit toward the hole. Great stop by Rosario. Gets to his feet. The throw on target, side retired. Ahmed Rosario saves a run and keeps the Mets in front. Gorgeous play by Rosario to rob Chacin of a hit. Extra special play by the young Mets shortstop. On a cold day, he got the grip. And Flores with the stretch. And the Brewers are turned aside. The Brewers decline. comes to an end. No question that Flores was on the base, so they do not challenge. Syndergaard with 10 strikeouts and a big assist from Rosario. 1-0 Mets. Home 5th inning, and the Brewers are going to go to their bullpen. So Chacin was left in to hit, got robbed of a base hit, and now he comes out of the game, and Taylor Williams on in relief.
Well, Williams, who missed 2 years of his career because of Tommy John surgery, Double-A last year, pitched in 5 games late for the Brew Crew.
Todd Frazier leads off the home 5th and takes a fastball up and in for ball 1. Well, Hernan Perez, after faking throwing the ball in the stands earlier, this time rewards that young man.
Well, you know he wasn't happy.
It appears that Hernan is having some fun.
He's trying to have fun stop himself from crying how cold it is.
Well, he's got the only hit for the Brewers today and a stolen base to boot. Frazier swinging at the slider, and it's 1-2. Todd drove in the only run of this game with a base hit in the first, then he walked in the third.
Yeah, he hurt his hand a little bit on that swing. Sometimes you let go and it kind of turns that wrist over. Watch after this swing. See how kind of anguish on the face of Frazier.
Cold day. Nobody's happy. Williams pops him inside. It's 2-2.
So he's got a good arm.
Taylor Williams, born in Vancouver, Washington, hometown of Randy Myers. Randall Kay. Never met anybody else like him.
No.
Breaking ball low and in, 3-2. Randy, who had more military equipment in his locker than many Army units have.
Yes.
3-2 coming, and Frazier takes call, strike 3. Thought it was up and in, but Hunter Wendelstedt punches him out, and Frazier's retired for the first time today.
See, he's still manipulating that hand. It's almost like he didn't want to swing that at bat. Ball starts on the outside part, breaks inside that fastball. A lot of movement on it, and called by Wendelstedt.
Now Wilmer Flores, who's 0 for 2 today. Fouled out, flied out. And a first pitch slider swung and missed. Jhoulys Chacin, 85 pitches over 4 innings, allowed 1 run and 5 hits. Walked 3, 1 intentional, struck out 4. Mets had plenty of chances against Chassim, but only cashed the 1 run. Mets have left 8 runners on base in the first 4 innings. And Taylor Williams showing that he likes to throw inside.
He does. Got a good arm. Short sleeves on this brisk afternoon.
He pitched at Kent State, so he pitched in some cold weather. 4th round pick by the Brewers in 2013. Robert Gazelman, first man up in the Mets bullpen, with Syndergaard up to 90 pitches through 5. Noah has struck out 10. He had a 29 pitch first inning, which really built his pitch count. One-two to Wilmer. And a slider in the dirt, 2-2. Wilmer starting for the 5th time this year as Adrian Gonzalez gets the day off. Young fans bundled to the max on a 40-degree afternoon with the wind howling. At least it hasn't rained yet. 3-2 to Wilmer. That's supposed to be later.
Williams has improved and can get that slider over. So should get a fastball here at 3-2 for Wilmer.
Now would he come back inside with the fastball 3-2, you think?
You know what it is that the natural movement of his ball is just goes from outside to in. He's trying to throw it outside.
And this one is outside for ball 4. And so Wilmer's on with the 1-out walk. Get to Citi Field when the Mets take on their division rivals, the Washington Nationals, tomorrow through Wednesday at 7:10 p.m. Purchase tickets to the National Series at Mets.com/tickets. Jacob deGrom gets the start for the Mets tomorrow night in the opening game of that series. Here's Rosario, who made that wonderful play to keep the Mets in front in the top of the inning. He has struck out and walked today, 0 for 1, just his 2nd walk of the season. And he takes a fastball strike from Williams. Eighth big league appearance for Taylor Williams, his 3rd this year. Jerry Blevins gets up alongside Robert Gazelman.
The Karate Kid.
Not sure I've seen that before.
He's trying to wake up those quads.
I would suggest the foam roller.
There you go.
That's the one that Bartolo Colon used to carry around the clubhouse. And it's inside, and Rosario is hit by the pitch. And now the Mets have 2 men on. 93-mile-an-hour fastball riding in on Rosario. Well, we talked about Williams liking to pitch inside.
Inside, and he's a little wild, and that little body armor perfectly placed right on that elbow.
So the Mets, who have been leaving base runners aboard all afternoon, have a couple more on. And here is Jose Reyes, who is 0 for 2 today, 0 for 14 to start the season. A walk and a hit by pitch, putting 2 men on for Reyes. And Jose grounds one to the right side. VR has to settle for the play at first, and the runners move to 2nd and 3rd. 2 out. He thought about 2nd, but with Rosario running, no chance there.
Rosario running, how far he had to go to his left, the weather and the conditions, all of those I think had to factor in his decision to go to first. I think the right decision.
Jay Bruce comes out of the dugout, and he is going to bat for Tomas Nido. So with a chance to extend this lead, Mickey Callaway is going to go to his bench. The problem, of course, is if they walk Bruce, now you have to use another player to bat for Syndergaard, and we're only in the 5th inning. So we'll see how this one plays out.
Unless you're going to let Syndergaard hit.
Well, in which case you shouldn't use Bruce as a pinch hitter here, because they should walk him. If the Brewers think Syndergaard's going to bat, there's no excuse to pitch to Bruce here. I don't care how good a hitter Noah is.
I agree.
And they do give Bruce the intentional walk, and so he'll go to first base.
I think that was catcher's interference.
Pat Murphy, the acting manager for the Brewers, with Craig Counsell having been ejected.
Pat Murphy, a great collegiate coach and a kind of a mentor to Craig Counsell, and now helping him, and the manager after Counsell got thrown out.
Arizona State, right?
Right.
So Syndergaard stays in, which is interesting because the Mets had double barrel action going in the bullpen and still do. So Bruce is kind of wasted as a pinch hitter here, and now Syndergaard will bat for himself. He's got a double and a strikeout today, 1 for 2. And it's popped up right in front of the plate. The pitcher, Williams, is going to call for it, and he makes the catch to end the inning. So the Mets are turned aside. They have left 11 on base in the first 5 innings, 1-0. Get all the reaction, comments, and opinions from today's Mets-Brewers game on Mets Blog, presented by Citi, featured on SNY.TV. Well, Mickey Callaway has pushed all the right buttons early in the season, but that move that he just made no sense at all.
Well, you had a few options there, right? Since you're going to have Lobaton and Nido here, why not let Nido hit and see what he can do? Because you know if Bruce went up there, he's going to be walked. If he's walked, that means you're all in for offense. You got to bat for Syndergaard.
Right. If you're going to send up Bruce to bat for Nido, you have to bat for Syndergaard in that spot. Otherwise, you've just wasted 2 players in the 5th inning, and you're down to your last catcher.
Yeah, and I just think it's a. Sometimes you have to think that Nido's going to be here for at least 3 weeks, right? With Lobaton, unless you make a deal, is a much better chance of Pat Murphy, the manager now, letting Williams pitch to Nido than it would ever be to Bruce. So you'd have a hitter at least facing the pitcher. And I know everyone's home, you know, Syndergaard's a great hitter. He is a great hitter, but he's still a pitcher.
He's a great hitter for a pitcher.
Exactly.
And now you've taken, you know, one of your pieces off the bench, used him in the 5th inning, and gotten no bang for your buck. 0-2 to VR, and the slider misses down, 1-2. Jesus Aguilar on deck to bat for the first time after coming in for Eric Thames, who appeared to hurt himself early in the game. And then Lorenzo Cain in the 6th. Let's keep the bullpen busy behind Syndergaard. And VR goes down swinging. Got him with another changeup. That's strikeout number 11 for Noah.
You know, the changeup has been so effective this afternoon, not only because of the difference between his fastball, but the movement is the most I've ever seen him have. Ball is starting in the middle of the plate and diving down and into righties and then down and away to lefties.
11 strikeouts, 2 shy of his career high. 11 of the 16 outs he's recorded this afternoon. And now it's Jesus Aguilar, who started the first game of the series and went 3 for 4. The game started by Steven Matz. Well, Thames appeared to hurt himself in his first at bat, stayed in the game, took a second at bat in the 3rd, struck out both times, then came out of the game. Haven't gotten any word on what befell him. There's the curveball by Syndergaard to get even on Aguilar, 1-1. Gesellman and Blevins continue to throw in the bullpen as Syndergaard approaches 100 pitches for the afternoon. Aguilar with a big cut at a slider, and it's 1-2.
See the grip on the changeup. You see that middle finger? It's on that left seam. That's where it comes off last because it's the longest finger, and that's where he gets that movement that goes from left to right, glove side to arm side.
1-2. Just got a piece. Nobody looks happy when they're facing Syndergaard.
Well, who would be? Especially in this kind of weather. Especially the way he's throwing.
Brewers have had just 1 hit today, a leadoff single by Hernan Perez in the 5th. The Mets have had by far the better of the scoring opportunities, but they've left 11 on base in the first 5 innings. 1-2 to Aguilar, and it's low and away. 2-2. Syndergaard about to throw his 100th pitch of the afternoon. Bullpen ready to go if needed. And Aguilar fouls off another changeup. Now all the frontline arms in the bullpen are available today, and that's in large part because of what Paul Sewald accomplished last night.
3 great innings by Sewald.
It was 9 up, 9 down with 5 strikeouts.
One of the things lost in last night's loss.
Aguilar lines one into left center for a base hit. Cespedes over to cut it off. That's just the 2nd Milwaukee hit. A 1-out single by Jesus Aguilar.
Is it me or Aguilar seems to get a hit every time he's up against the Mets? Good hitting. Fouled some tough changeups. Got a fastball and dropped it into left center field.
And that's going to be all for Noah Syndergaard, which makes the decision to have him bat for himself look even more curious.
Yeah.
Taken out after facing just 2 hitters in the 6th. Robert Gesellman will replace him, trying to protect a 1-0 lead. 11 strikeouts for Noah this afternoon, but he leaves after 5 1/3. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Gesellman in, Syndergaard out. We'll be right back. Noah Syndergaard out after 5 1/3 innings, 101 pitches, 2 hits, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. He'll hand it over to Robert Gsellman.
Look at the strikeout rate for Gsellman so far. He has just looking so much better in the bullpen than he did as a starter.
Came in on Friday night and got 1 enormous out, with the Mets protecting a 1-run lead in the 8th. Here he comes on in the 6th to face Lorenzo Cain. Cain has walked and struck out. One of the 8 consecutive strikeouts that Syndergaard piled up from the 2nd through the 4th innings. Aguilar not a fast runner, the tying run at first with 1 out. And Cain fouls away the sinker, and it's 1-1. Gsellman came in with 2 men on and 2 out in the 8th. After the Mets bullpen had given the Brewers a chance to come back in the game, and he just overwhelmed Jet Bandy with a couple of sinkers and got a weak comebacker from him. It has become his go-to. Travis Shaw waits on deck.
You know, one of the reasons that the Mets knew at some point they could use Lugo and Gsellman in the bullpen is because they monitored them so much in spring training that every time they had an outing in spring training, how did they look throwing and playing catch the next day? Were they tight? Were they loose? Was it easy for them to get hot? All of those things were put on a chart.
And it's inside, ball 4, and Cain's on with a walk. Well, you remember very early in the season, Gsellman had a 2-inning outing, and Mickey Callaway went back to him the next day, because you're still learning about these guys as relievers. Can they handle going back the next day after a significant workload? And that's, you know, that becomes part of the ledger on these guys and how you can use them.
Well, you ask each and every player, but when you get young players, they always want to say yes. So you've got to really be the adult in the room and understand if they can go or not.
So a huge batter here for Gsellman after walking the right-hand hitter Cain. Now he has to face a power-hitting left-hand batter in Shaw. And the first pitch breaking ball misses badly for ball 1. Well, the Mets bullpen has had the best start to the season of any in the National League.
Now this is one hitter where his strength is the strength of Gsellman. Ball down and out over the plate.
Shaw has reached on an error and struck out. 2 on and 1 out. And that misses inside, and now Gsellman digging the hole a little deeper behind 2-0, and Todd Frazier is going to visit the mound.
Like this move.
This counts as a mound visit.
That's good, though. It's a move that should be made, and the veteran player knew it had to be made.
One that players have been reluctant to make early in the year because of the mound visit limit, but can't let that scare you. No team that we've seen has really come close to running out. 2-0 to Shaw, and he pops one up. Infield fly rule should be called. It is, and Rosario grabs it. 2 out. So there's a king size out for Gsellman as he gets Shaw to pop up on a 2-0 fastball.
It was almost like that ball didn't come out of the hand of Gsellman great. Almost acted like a changeup the way that Shaw had a swing at it.
So now 2 out and 2 on. Well, you know, they didn't have days like this in Santa Monica.
That's right.
When Gsellman was growing up.
Not one.
Here's Santana. I mean, they do have a microclimate, but it's not at all like this.
No.
Santana's flied out and struck out 0 for 2. 2 on and 2 out. And Santana rolls one to the left side. Frazier under his glove, but grabbed by Rosario. The wide throw blocked by Flores to keep a run from scoring. Aguilar has to stop at third. Well, Frazier thought he had it lined up and went under his glove. Rosario's throw was wide, but then Flores made a great play to make sure that the tying run couldn't score.
Well, we've seen Frazier go to his left and make this play numerous times, but couldn't get the glove down enough. And boy, great play by Wilmer to get off that bag. Just didn't get that glove down or over enough.
It scored an infield hit for Santana, and it loads the bases with 2 out and brings up Hernan Perez, who had the first hit against Syndergaard, the only hit, leading off in the 5th inning. Bases loaded, 2 down. And Perez takes up and in for ball 1.
You know, Flores had to act really like a catcher and just heave his body in front of this ball to keep it in front, and boy, it came up in his hand. Any more speed, you'd had a runner trying to take home on that.
Well, he understood instinctively that he had to knock that ball down. And now Gesellman, who is really struggling with his command, is behind 2-0 on Perez.
Doesn't have that little extra giddy up on his fastball that he's had either this afternoon.
Aguilar the tying run at third, Kane at second, Santana at first with 2 out. 2-0 to Perez. And he grounds one toward the hole. Rosario on the backhand. The long throw to make on a hop can't be handled by Flores. Here comes Kane with the go-ahead run. The Brewers get 2 runs, and they lead it 2-1. Well, Rosario, who made a wonderful play to end the 5th inning, made the stop, but the throw in the dirt, and Flores could not pick it out, and 2 runs come home, and the Brewers go in front.
In between hops, so great stop, and just couldn't get enough on this throw, and it was an in-between hop and very difficult for Flores. Kind of just throw the leather out there and hope that you catch it, and he did not.
They're going to score this an error all the way on Rosario.
Watch Lorenzo Cain, great instincts for the game. As soon as he sees the throw is off a little bit, takes the extra base and the 2nd run for the Brewers.
So Aguilar and Kane both score on the air, 2 unearned runs. And the Brewers, who have not had nearly the opportunities that the Mets have had today, now have the lead for the first time. A.J. Ramos to work in the Mets bullpen. And here is Orlando Arcia with 2 out and runners at first and second. Arcia is 0 for 2. And Gesellman gives a look back at Santana. One of the first runs that the Brewers have scored in this series that have not come on home runs. He had 3 home runs on Friday, 3 home runs yesterday, for a total of 10 runs. And they've been shut out to this point this afternoon.
And to me, the first hiccups the Mets defense have made, they've seemed to be able to make the play when they've had to end innings, and they haven't in the last 2 batters.
Well, 2 throws by Rosario. One that Flores was able to block to keep a run off the board. Second one just too difficult to handle. And now Gesellman with the slider gets ahead on Arcia. After Dave Island went to the mound to talk to him, all of a sudden he seems to have a little better command of that breaking pitch.
Well, probably told him, don't just live and die with that sinker. You got to use both sides of the plate.
Oh, and 2 to Arcia. Struck him out to end the inning. But the Brewers get a couple of unearned runs on the Rosario throwing error, and they lead 2-1 in the 6th. the bat in the bottom of the 6th. Good time for a hot dog. Also a good time to check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
And always a good time to check in with Mookie Wilson, who's here as part of Jackie Robinson Day, the program that the Mets have put on here behind the scenes as well. We saw him out on the field during the first pitch. But Mookie, for you, growing up in South Carolina, what did you know about Jackie Robinson early on? What were you told as a child growing up?
Well, you know, my experience with Jackie Robinson, like most people, you read about him and you see clips and stuff. And my father was a big baseball fan here in Brooklyn, so I got to hear stories about him breaking in and the impact that he made on the community. So that's pretty much what it is.
I know, like I said, you did some stuff behind the scenes here today at the beginning of the game with the family, with the Robinson family. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you were trying to accomplish today?
Well, what we're trying to accomplish is just to educate young people about the heritage. And when you have Jackie Robinson Day, that is more than just a symbolic, festive event. It's about a person who really made an impact, not only on the sports world, but in our culture, period. And, he was a pioneer for change, and we want kids to understand what that means to us.
Rachel Robinson, 95 years young. I mean, it's incredible to see her, how vibrant she still is. Just being around her, speaking with her, what is she still capable of doing, carrying that torch that Jackie Robinson passed on to her? Well,
I think it's always good to have someone visible, that is really close to the person that we are honoring. And we know between Rachel and Sharon Robinson, they are visible in the communities. And it's nice to know, it's good to see that we still have part of that.
And Brandon Nimmo ties the game with a long home run, his first of the year, and gets the Mets back even. Nimmo had a triple his last time up. It's his first home run of the year, and the Mets again respond after the opposition puts up runs.
Yeah, 3 hits today, a hanging slider. And against the wind. You didn't think a ball was going to get out of here, but he hit it right on the nose, line drive, and got in the lower deck.
So a big day for Nimmo, who did a couple of days in Vegas. First start since coming back. He's got 3 hits, including a triple, and now a game-tying home run.
Just a hanging slider, great swing. We saw in spring training him working on trying to in hitters counts being more aggressive.
Now Conforto flies one out to left. Perez going back in the wind. He makes the catch. And on Perez staying with that opposite field fly ball by Conforto for the first out. Let's go back to Steve and Mookie.
Well, Gary, Mookie Wilson, clearly the good luck charm here, but we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you. We were talking about Ed Charles before, the great Met who passed away this offseason. Just your experiences with him as a young player, what did he mean to you?
Well, Ed Charles was one of the good guys. I mean, when we first signed the young players and stuff, he made himself available to us to try to, explain to us how it was to play in New York, because he understood the difference it meant. Most of us are born in small towns, myself included, and he was letting us know what it was like to play in New York, what to prepare ourselves for, and how to be professional. And this is what Ed was all about. He was all about youth. And this is what made him very special person.
Mookie Wilson, always fantastic catching up with you. Thanks so much for braving the elements. You don't even have a jacket on here. That's pretty impressive.
I know, you owe me.
He is Mookie Wilson. Gary, let's send it back to you.
You wouldn't even know that he was cold because Mookie's just, he's Mookie.
Yeah, we were talking about Ed Charles being royalty, so is Mookie.
Meanwhile, the Mets rallying to tie on the Nimmo home run after leaving 11 on base in the first 5 innings. Now Cespedes batting with 1 out against Taylor Williams, his 2nd inning of relief, and he gets the letter-high strike call for strike 3. So the 2nd strikeout for Williams, and they've both come in a similar location.
It's almost like the ball comes out of his hand like it has a cutting action, and it just kind of stays there on the inside part of the plate.
Frazier was the first man he struck out. Todd drove in the first Met run with a first inning single. Mets led 1-0 from that point until the 6th, and the Brewers got a couple of unearned runs, and now the Mets getting back even on the Nimmo home run. That Mets home run means City will donate enough for No Kid Hungry to provide 20,000 meals to kids in need. Well, the smile was knocked off his face briefly by his demotion to Vegas, but it's back.
Was it?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was.
Momentarily.
Yeah, okay.
But he went down there, got a couple of hits in the game on Thursday, back in time for the game on Friday. Slider in for a strike to Frazier, 2-1. And now Nimmo just a double shy of the cycle. Single, triple home run already in the books today. Up and away to Frazier, and it's 3-1. Well, this is one of those times with 2 out and nobody on. You know Frazier's looking for a pitch to hit out of the ballpark.
Middle of the plate in. That's where you want to look.
Too high, ball 4, and Frazier's on for the 3rd time today. Single and 2 walks for Todd, and the Mets have the tying run aboard. The go-ahead run aboard. 3rd walk given up by Williams in relief. Jeremy Jeffress ready in the bullpen if needed for Milwaukee. He pitched last night. And here comes the acting manager, Pat Murphy. And it would appear he is going to make a double switch. Pitcher's due to bat 2nd for the Brewers in the top of the 7th. So Jeffress is coming in. Brewers make a double switch. 2-2 game in the bottom of the 6th. We'll be right back to Citi Field. For Brandon Nimmo, his first start since coming back from Vegas. Single, triple, home run. Mets have left 11 on base. They've got the go-ahead run on base with 2 out. Double switch for the Brewers. Eric Sogard in to play short. He'll bat 9th. And the new pitcher, Jeremy Jeffress, for Milwaukee.
Back-to-back days for Jeffress. Came in for Chase Anderson and yesterday's ball game and got a couple of outs.
Gave up a hit to Todd Frazier, then got a double play ball from Rosario. He'll face Wilmer Flores here with Frazier at first and 2 out. Wilmer's 0 for 2 and a walk today. Frazier dancing off first like he's thinking about going. Does not. And the curveball buckles Flores' knees, but it's out of the strike zone for ball 1. Well, that was quite a reaction to that pitch.
That's right. He's got a good breaking ball. We saw it yesterday, Jeffress. Used to throw a little harder. Closed some games for the Brewers. 27 saves in his 3 stints with the Brewers.
And he's behind on Wilmer 2-0 with Rosario waiting on deck. Brewer pitchers have walked 6 today. They've also hit a batter and given up 6 hits. There's also been an infield error. But the Mets have squandered some opportunities and have plated just 2 runs. And Wilmer grounds one on the left side. Nice easy hop for Shaw. He gets the force play, and that retires the side. So Jeffress comes in and gets 1 big out, but Nimmo's home run ties the game. We're 2-2. Seventh inning, Robert Gsellman, who came on in the 6th, remains in to face Jet Bandy leading off in the 7th in a 2-2 game. Gsellman retired Bandy in Friday night's game. And a ground ball foul, 0-1.
He got behind Bandy 2-0, threw him a sinker just like that pitch right there to get back in the count, and then the next pitch sawed him off for a comebacker.
Eric Sogard hitting in the number 9 spot in the order on deck, and then Jonathan Villar in the 7th. And a broken bat liner over Frazier's head into left field, a base hit for Bandy. So he shattered his bat, but got enough on it to dump it into the outfield, and so the Brewers have the lead man on in the 7th.
Well, it was all Syndergaard early in this game as the Mets were winning 1-0, but the Brew crew is starting to pile up the hits. Good hitting there, even though he broke his bat. Good pitch by Gsellman, but Bandy strong enough to get the base hit.
So now Sogard, who came in the double switch in the last half inning. He went 0 for 4 yesterday. Frazier's in on the grass thinking Sogard might be bunting here. Tie game, 7th inning. But he's not, and he takes ball 1.
We're seeing less and less of the everyday players bunting with late in the game. It's just the analytics tell you it doesn't work, so they're not doing it.
Well, certainly not this early. You'll see it in the 9th, 10th,
yeah.
You know, but not this early. Not for a team that hits as many home runs as the Brewers do. And Gsellman, not his sharpest, came in the 6th inning, walked the first man to face him, and that turned into the go-ahead run. Dave Alwyn's going to spend another visit here. This will be the Mets' 3rd, which will leave them 3 remaining.
Well, obviously Island sees something he does not like, because we have seen Island for the most part stay in the dugout and really let the pitchers kind of work out their issues on their own. But he sees something very mechanical that's wrong with Gesellman and addresses it.
Well, he made a visit in the 6th inning to Gesellman right before he faced Arcia, and all of a sudden Gesellman got the snap on his slider and struck out Arcia on 3 pitches. So let's see whether this visit pays off. A.J. Ramos getting ready in the bullpen. 2-0 to Syndergaard. Frazier has backed up to the edge of the grass at 3rd, and Syndergaard takes a strike.
Both Island and Callaway's mantra is this: be aggressive in the strike zone. They do not like their pitchers kind of being very hesitant about throwing the strikes.
What's the term? Have conviction in your pitches. Syndergaard fouls it away, and it's 2-2. Well, clearly Gesellman's a little short today, and the question is, can he survive with what he's got? A walk, an infield hit, an error hurt him in the 6th. A broken bat hit here in the 7th, so it's not like he's been hit hard.
Well, we saw him really trying to loosen up and having a hard time doing it. So in the bullpen, so maybe he's having a hard time just getting loose.
It's 41 degrees right now, wind blowing in at 20 miles an hour, so difficult day for everybody. 2-2 coming to Syndergaard, and he struck him out. That's the first out of the inning, and that's going to be all for Gesellman, with the switch hitting VR coming up. A.J. Ramos is coming in the game. So Gesellman goes an inning in relief, strikes out a pair. Ramos coming into a 2-2 game in the 7th. We'll be right back. Kingery's been hot. A.J. Ramos in to face Jonathan VR, and he bounces the first pitch breaking ball.
Well, no earned runs allowed for Ramos in these 8 games, but he's got a test here with VR, who's much stronger from this side of the plate.
Ramos came in to get 1 out on Friday night, got Hernan Perez in a fly ball. VR is 0 for 3, grounded out and struck out twice against Syndergaard. And he goes after a fastball and misses 1-1. Syndergaard went 5 1/3, allowed an unearned run on 2 hits, a walk, 11 strikeouts. Gazelman worked an inning, 2 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, charged with an unearned run so far, and responsible for Bandy at first base. 1-1 to VR with Aguilar on deck. A long hold by Ramos induces VR to call time. You know, we were talking about the Nationals who come in tomorrow night and the injury problems that have cropped up for them. The one guy they've gotten back from injury is Matt Wieters. He homered yesterday. He just homered again to tie up their game with Colorado, 4-4 in the 6th. And the curveball blocked by Lobaton. 2-1. Series begins tomorrow night here at Citi Field. Mets and Nats after the Mets swept the Nationals in D.C. 6:30 the coverage tomorrow night with Jacob deGrom on the mound right here on SNY. Bandy at first and 1 out. 2-1 to VR. And that one goes to the backstop, and that'll get the go-ahead run down to second. So Lobaton unable to stop that one.
Well, sitting on the outside part of the plate and pulled over in the other batter's box, so you can't blame the catcher on that. Not even close to the spot where Lobaton expected to pitch.
So it is a wild pitch charge to Ramos. Now he's behind on VR, 3-1. Bandy the go-ahead run at second in a tie game in the 7th. And VR takes a fastball down the middle, 3-2. I guess you should never expect a fastball from Ramos.
I think you're right. You have hitters who try to sit on that breaking ball. Never understand that. If he throws a good one, you're not going to hit it.
Now it's 3-2. And VR takes the breaking ball for ball 4, and now the Brewers have 2 men on. You know, the walks piling up for Ramos. That's 5 in 6 innings of work this year. Third walk given up by Met pitchers in this game, and now Jesus Aguilar, who didn't start the game. He came in with Eric Thames left with an injury, and Aguilar had a base hit in his only at bat and scored the first Milwaukee run. 8 hits and 17 at bats to start the season. That's a .471 clip. Aguilar, a guy they got on waivers from Cleveland. Had a nice year last year as a part-time player and off to a rollicking start this year. And he takes a letter high pitch for a strike. Change up to start him off. Aguilar is a big dude.
Yes. But he knows how to hit. You know, he doesn't have just that swinging for the fences. He can hit.
Bandy at second, VR at first with 1 out. And Aguilar hits a topper to the left of the mound. Ramos from his knees throws him out. Gold Glove caliber play there by A.J. Ramos. And the only play he had. 2 out.
As soon as he went after this ball, I was hoping he wouldn't get it so that Frazier would make the play. Didn't realize how great an athlete or athletic play that Ramos could make on that. To throw from his knees and throw it accurate. You see a lot of those throws down the first base line.
That was a terrific play. I mean, first to get to it, then to get himself in position to throw, and then to make the perfect throw. Second and third and 2 out. Here's Kane, who's walked twice and struck out 0 for 1. And Kane takes the curveball low and in for ball 1. Hansel Robles joins Jerry Blevins in the Mets bullpen. You got Travis Shaw on deck, so if that spot comes up, you have to figure that's Blevins' man.
Get much of a tougher out than Kane. Boy, almost a balk there by Ramos, who got his spike caught a little bit on the rubber while he was trying to step off.
And Kane pops one foul. That'll go out of play. And it's 1-1.
Seen so much hustle from guys on the base paths, but they just want to run just to warm up.
Just got to keep moving.
I mean, VR came all the way home on that.
Well, and Wilmer running all the way to the barrier on a ball 15 rows deep.
Stay loose.
That's it. Bandy at third, VR at second with 2 out. One and one to Kane. And the curveball misses inside. 2-1. Fans are flying low today. Bumpy ride, I bet. 2-1 coming. And that slider misses inside, and now Ramos behind 3-1. Well, if Kane walks, then in all probability Blevins comes in to face Shaw. (3-1) to Kane, and it's on the corner. He didn't think so.
That was a perfect pitch. He's got to make one more.
Bandy at third carrying the go-ahead run. VR at second. Kane is 1 for 3 in his career against A.J. Ramos. Ball 4, and the bases are loaded. So Ramos has faced 3 batters, walked 2 of them, and now Jerry Blevins will come in to face Travis Shaw with the bases full. Drama building at Citi Field. Blevins in to a 2-2 game in the 7th. We'll be right back. Batter in the 7th inning today.
It's only faced Shaw 1 at bat. No hits for Travis Shaw.
Shaw is 0 for 3 today. Popped up with a couple of men on his last time up in the 6th. Now bats with the bases loaded and 2 out in a tie game. And Blevins starts him off with a fastball for a strike. See Shaw's numbers with the bases full. 1 career grand slam. Bandy a broken bat hit. He's on third. VR walked. He's at second. Kane walked. He's at first. And Shaw wheels at the curveball and misses. And it's 0-2. How often do we see that with Blevins? Takes the fastball for a strike. Goes after the curveball, and that happened.
Counterintuitive, isn't it?
So Jerry has the 2-strike advantage. Curveball grounded down to Flores. Side retired. Blevins gets one king size down in the top of the 7th. Stretch time at Citi Field, still tied at 2. Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. We go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Mets and Brewers tied 2-2. Jeremy Jeffress, who came on to get the final out in the 6th, will stay on for the 7th to face Rosario, Reyes, and Lobatone. Mets had a 1-0 lead after 1. Brewers got a couple of runs in the 6th. Nimmo tied it with a home run. Well, Hernan Perez getting a chance to play today because Ryan Braun is banged up, and nobody has had more fun in Citi Field this afternoon than Mr. Perez.
Faking out the fans with a fake ball toss and then rewarding one of the young fans. Come on, get up and cheer. I know you're cold.
Encouraging their taunts, no doubt. And then some serious FaceTime with the fans.
No, the guy
steals the glove.
Yeah, he was trying to trade the glove for the giveaway.
Well, he's kept himself entertained, that's for sure. He also had the first hit against Syndergaard after Noah held the Brewers hitless for the first 4. Well, the Mets able to extricate themselves from a jam in the top of the inning. Blevins getting one big out. And now they'll set about trying to regain the lead in the bottom of the 7th against Jeffress. Rosario's been aboard twice in this game. He walked in the 3rd, was hit by a pitch in the 5th. 0 for 1 on the day. And they'll shorten up at the corners against Ahmed, who we haven't seen attempt to bunt for a hit very often. takes the first pitch for a strike. Jhoulys Chacin tiptoed through trouble for 4 innings for Milwaukee, allowed a run on 5 hits. Taylor Williams gave up a run on 1 hit over an inning and 2/3. As today's starters brought to you by People's United Bank. Syndergaard with 11 strikeouts, including 8 in a row, 2 shy of Tom Seaver's major league record. Tied Jacob deGrom for the 2nd longest streak in Mets history. And Rosario tops one foul, and it's 1-2. Jeremy Jeffress, at one time a first-round draft pick by the Brewers, coming out of South Boston, Virginia. Went elsewhere on a couple of occasions. Came back last year. Will pop up on the right side for VR. I promise you that is VR.
Who knows?
1 out. The anonymous second baseman. Not only is everybody wearing the same number, but
yeah,
you know, it's that kind of day.
Well, they have such a short bench that we can account for all the Brewers.
Well, they have left on their bench only their backup catcher who's hurt, and Manny Pena. They almost have to press him into service when Bandy almost got ejected from the game. And they've got Ryan Braun, who I think we know what Ryan Braun looks like. The Brewers manager, Craig Counsell, was ejected from the game on the pitch where Bandy was called out of the 5th. So Pat Murphy, the bench coach, is running their team.
I don't think there was really any need to eject Counsell. I mean, he was doing what any manager would do when you have a second-string catcher who's banged up. He was trying to get Bandy off the field, not really argue balls and strikes with Hunter Wendelstedt.
2-0 to Reyes, and that just misses. Well, I'll tell you what, if arguing balls and strikes really is an automatic ejection, then Bobby Cock would have been ejected from every game he ever managed. Well, he argued every call.
Well, he argued every call, so they couldn't throw him out every single time. So
3-1 to Reyes, who's still looking for that elusive first hit of the year. He's gone 0 for 15, including 0 for 3 today. We'll say Lobaton on deck.
Can't argue about the thing that's the most important part of the game. Always found that interesting.
Well, be here all day. Reyes tops one foul, and it's 3-2.
Well, we'd already have AI behind the plate there.
That's coming. It's coming before the self-driving car. Here's the 3-2, and a changeup gets him. Good split change by Jeffress to strike out Reyes for the 2nd out.
A good split change here. A lot of drop at the very end, and Jeffress is one of those pitchers that you know, celebrate a little bit when he strikes out a hitter.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now Lobaton comes up for the first time. Tomas Nido got the start. Jay Bruce batted for him in the 5th inning in a curious move with first base open. The Brewers walked him, and then Mickey Callaway left Syndergaard in to hit for himself with the bases loaded. And then Syndergaard faced 2 batters in the next half inning and was taken out of the game. So it all kind of was an odd series of circumstances. And Lobaton quickly down to the count 0-2.
Jeffress has thrown good. His velocity might be a tick down, but he's throwing strikes and lots of movement.
Oh, 2 coming up and away as Drupal Cabrera out on deck to pinch hit. If Lobaton is able to keep the inning going. Hansel Robles ready in the bullpen. One-two coming, and Lobaton tops one foul. Mets have had opportunities in every inning. They have left 12 runners on base through the first 6. Jeffress with the chance to post the first 1-2-3 inning for the Brewers pitching staff this afternoon. 0-2 now to Lobaton.
You know, Gary, it was interesting when the Mets had all those days off that they were able to rest people. But now that you're in the, not the heart of the schedule, but you have a lot of games in a row, you're starting to notice that same people are getting up and pitching every single day.
Well, the Mets are in a stretch now where they have 10 straight days without a day off unless weather intervenes. Well, Jeffress, who came from 3-0 to strike out Reyes, has now gone from 0-2 to a full count on Lobaton. Lobaton, who had a triple in his first at bat as a Met on Friday, 0 for 1 with a walk yesterday, up for the first time in this game. Three-two coming. And he struck him out with a breaking ball. Side retired. A couple of strikeouts for Jeffress. Mets go down 1-2-3 for the first time today. On to the 8th, still tied at 2. The first anniversary of Jackie Robinson's major league debut. Saw him with Duke Snyder, there with Branch Rickey, Pee Wee Reese. How about that dugout, huh? Jackie Robinson Rotunda, built as part of this stadium to honor Jackie's memory in perpetuity, along with his retired number 42. Only 10 seasons in the big leagues, but what he accomplished. He was the first ever Rookie of the Year, an honor now named after him. MVP in 1949, played in 6 World Series. And how about this? The Dodgers had a winning percentage of .609 in the games that Jackie Robinson played. Position players who debuted since the end of World War II, there are only 3 who have a higher winning percentage in their careers. And that is gives you an idea of how celebrated he was. Look at the list of pallbearers, including Bill Russell. So many of his former teammates and opponents: Joe Louis, Roy Wilkins, A. Philip Randolph, Nelson Rockefeller. I mean, people from all walks of life. Hansel Robles in to pitch for the Mets in the 8th, gets a swinging strike on Domingo Santana, and it's 0-2.
Well, Hansel's been the pitcher when he comes in that's been able to be the good luck charm sometimes as far as that 2-0 record is concerned.
0-2 to Santana, and he struck him out with a high fastball, and he makes quick work of Domingo Santana for the first out of the 8th. So Domingo just 1 for 4 on Domingo.
2 sliders and a fastball up in the zone.
So 1 out and nobody on, and now the greatly entertained Hernan Perez, who's 1 for 3 today. He had the first Brewers hit against Syndergaard in the 5th. And he pops this one up. Flores waiting for it. And Wilmer puts it away, and quickly there are 2 out. There have not been a lot of quick outs in this game. There hasn't been a lot of quick anything in this game. Now Ryan Braun is going to pinch hit. He was in the on-deck circle earlier, but was pulled back. Braun, who had some back soreness yesterday. 2 for 7 in this series, including a 2-run homer.
Still extremely dangerous.
He has 1 pinch hit home run in his career. And he has a hit in his only pinch hit at bat this year. .305 major league home runs. And he pulls one foul.
Really need those benches that they have in the NFL today, don't you? Ones that are heated.
I gotta believe there's some kind of heating element in the dugouts now.
Maybe there are now. Yeah, it never was in the day.
If not, the tunnel is nearby.
Yeah, that's right.
And Hansel just misses away. 2 balls and a strike. Mets have used 5 pitchers this afternoon. Syndergaard went 5 1/3, struck out 11, gave up just an unearned run. Gazelman for an inning, Ramos and Blevins for an out apiece. And now Robles trying to work the 8th inning. He's got the first 2 outs. And now Braun lifts one to shallow right center. Nimmo angles in to call. And that retires the side. Another strong inning for Hansel Robles. He gets him out on just 7 pitches. Brandon Nimmo tied this game with a home run. He'll be coming up for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th, with the game still tied at 2. Brewers got a couple of unearned runs in the 6th. Brandon Nimmo tied it with a home run in the bottom of the 6th. And we're 2-2 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Old Dominion Freight Line, official freight carrier of MLB. Visit ODFL.com for more information. Left-hander Dan Jennings on to pitch the bottom of the 8th to Milwaukee.
The Nebraska Cornhusker played last year. We saw him a lot for the Marlins, but played with Chicago and Tampa Bay last year, and now signed with the Brewers right before the start of the season.
As Drupal Cabrera will be the pinch hitter for New York. Cabrera getting his first non-start of the season. His 11-game hitting streak came to an end last night. Still hitting .321 for the year and 7 for 15 as a right-hand batter. And he takes outside from Jennings for ball 1. Brandon Nimmo on deck, then Michael Conforto, 2 left-hand hitters. That's why Jennings is in the game. We saw their other lefty, Josh Hader, who was overwhelming in his 2 innings last night, probably not available today. And Cabrera shoots one foul, 1-1. Here's Nimmo, who is a double shy of the cycle today. In his first start since returning from Vegas. It's been 6 years since a Mets cycle. Remember the score of that game when Scott Hairston hit for the cycle?
The Mets didn't do well.
No, they lost 18-9 if memory serves. That was at Coors Field.
That's hard to do, to lose the game when you hit for the cycle.
Coors Field. It barely counts.
Still hard.
Cabrera has 2 pinch hit home runs in his career. Lifetime .306 as a pinch hitter. Not too many regular players are great pinch hitters. One-two from Jennings. And the breaking ball down, 2-2.
I think part of the reasons he's a good pinch hitter is because of his way of hitting as a regular player, and that is he's a first ball fastball hitter.
Which is kind of what most pinch hitters aspire to.
That's right.
We've even seen that with Nimmo, who's so selective as a starting player, but willing to jump that first pitch as a pinch hitter. 2-2 to Cabrera, and as Drupal lifts one to left center field. Over comes Kane, falling all the way. 1 out. So Cabrera flies out to start the bottom of the 8th. And now Nimmo. So where's his best chance for a 2-base hit against the left-hand?
Left center.
He had one off the pitcher's glove for an infield single in the first. He hit one just beyond Kane's reach at the fence in deep left center for a triple in the 4th. And then he parked one into the seats in right for his first home run of the year in the 6th.
Well, the way the defense is, right center maybe, or down the right field line.
And he takes a slider for a strike from Jennings. Nimmo now 6 for 14 to begin the season. That's a .429 clip. He's been on base 6 times out of 10. Jennings misses with the fastball, 1-1. Jhoulys Chacin went the first 4 innings for Milwaukee, gave up a run on 5 hits. Taylor Williams an inning and 2/3, 1 run, 1 hit. And then Jeremy Jeffress faced 4 batters and retired them all. Struck out a pair. He will not get anywhere bouncing sliders to Brandon Nimmo.
No. Advantage Nimmo here, though. We saw him in spring training. When he in a hitter's count, he will be more aggressive as Familia's up in this tie game.
Hoping for a chance at his 8th save if the Mets can get a run. If not, he'll come into a tie game in the 9th. And Nimmo takes a fastball for a strike. That appeared to be a pitch to hit. Now it's 2-2. Michael Conforto waiting to follow. Mets playing their first rubber game of the season. When you're sweeping series, you don't play rubber games. Suffered just their 2nd loss in 13 games last night. Now locked in a 2-2 game in the 8th. And Nimmo just got a piece to stay in there. The Mets have been remarkable in close games early in the season. They're 3-0 in 1-run games and 4-0 in 2-run games.
But so have the Brewers.
They had been until Friday night when the Mets beat them in a 1-run game. They are 6-2 in 1- and 2-run games, while the Mets are 7-0. Two coming, and Nimmo tried to hold, but he went around. Strike 3. Larry Vanover with the call, and that's the second out of the inning.
Well, on this one, we're going to, this winter, have to send Brandon to acting class because he could never sell it. You know, I mean, that look was, please don't call me out. And they punched him out.
So 2 out and nobody on, and now Conforto, who is 1 for 3 on the day, and a base hit back in the third. Just 1 for 9 in this series. They walked Conforto intentionally in the 4th inning to pitch to Cespedes. They've got a right-hander up in the bullpen for Cespedes right now, in case Conforto gets on. 2 out and nobody on. By the way, the grounds crew has done a remarkable job at every inning break collecting the papers out in the outfield.
Yeah,
They've been blown around on this windy day. They're starting to lose the battle.
Well, it's not their fault.
They have fought the good fight, though.
They've been hustling.
And a 2-0 breaking ball. That, well, I guess it caught the corner. 2-1.
Didn't catch any corner, but it was called a strike.
That's a big call for Jennings. Should be 3-0. And another one. That one's on the corner, and it's 2-2. Oliver Drake, the right-hander, up in the Milwaukee bullpen. Again, ready in case Cespedes comes up. Two from Jennings to Conforto, and he fights it off. Again, the 2-2. Got him looking. Side retired. 1-2-3 inning for Dan Jennings with a couple of strikeouts. That sends us to the 9th with the game still tied at 2. The Red Sox just do not lose. They're 13-2 after they beat the Orioles today. Starling Marte a big day. The Pirates are now 11-4 after beating the Marlins. And DJ LeMahieu's hitting for power this year. That's 5 home runs. He puts the Rockies ahead of the Nats 5-4 in the 8th.
He's a free agent after this season also. Familia in here, the closer with the game tied.
Jet Bandy leads off for the Brewers and tries to hold the swing. He went around. Strike one.
First base umpire Chris Cuccione. You just ask him any time, he's going to give you the fist.
It's the anonymous umpire tonight. Familia coming off a save Friday night, worked a 1-2-3 ninth in that game. And he runs one toward the knee of Bandy. A ball and a strike. Familia, the 6th Met pitcher of the day. Syndergaard went the first 5 1/3, allowed an unearned run and struck out 11. Zellman, Ramos, Blevins, Robles for a 1-2-3 8th, and now Familia in the 9th. Bandy is 1 for 3, a broken bat hit his last time up. And he gets jammed by the slider and it's by the sinker, and it's 1-2. Eric Sogard's hitting 9th in the order. He's on deck. Matt Albers is up in the Milwaukee bullpen. He's been doing the saving lately, at least most of it, with Corey Knebel, their all-star closer, on the shelf. Josh Hader got the save last night by getting 6 outs and striking out 5. But Hader likely not available today. 1-2 to Bandy. And he breaks another bat. I hope he has a good supply. He gave up a bat for a hit his last time up. This time he trades it for a foul ball.
Same kind of bat, so he at least he has this one left. But this is very common with Familia.
It used to be with younger players, it was hard for them to get as many bats as the veteran players. I don't think that's a problem anymore.
So many bat companies too that
competing for the affection of these players.
Yeah.
Used to be a Louisville or bust. 1-2, quick pitch, fastball in there for a call, strike 3. Bandy wasn't ready on the quick pitch, and he's caught looking at the fastball for the first out.
Lucky got that new piece of lumber.
Never got to turn it around.
I mean, I'm not laughing at you, Jet. Sometimes you just get up there and you're not thinking about that quick pitch, and it gets you.
Coming up tonight on Geico Sportsnet. Oh, we're down to 2 headlines. That never happens. Well, they put NBA and NHL in the same line. So they doubled up on us. That's tonight at 11. Geico Sports Night. Eric Sogard up for the 2nd time. Struck out in the 7th. Met pitchers have struck out 15 today. Syndergaard had the first 11, including 8 in a row at one point. Familia blowing on that pitching hand.
No sleeves. I don't know how he's doing it today.
They are much more liberal now about pitchers going to their mouth in general, as long as you wipe it off on your leg. But in terms of doing it on the rubber, they only allow that on cold days like this.
Yes.
Sogard bluffs the bunt, takes a strike. Frazier came charging in, 2-1.
Yeah, there was a time that you could blow into your hands if the umpires let you, but never go to your mouth anywhere on the dirt, ever.
2-1 to Sogard with VR on deck, and Sogard went around on the half swing, and now it's 2-2.
That emanated from the spitball times when
spitball was outlawed in 1920, but they grandfathered in the spitball artists, some of whom lasted into the 1930s. Didn't want to take away players' professional tools. 2-2 coming, and it's fouled away.
It's amazing the movement you can get on a spitball if you learn how to throw one.
Do you think any player today would have any idea how to use a spitball?
Yeah, because I think there's enough. Use one. I would say no, but I think there's enough older people around that still can fool around with it once in a while.
I mean, these days, every ball that a pitcher throws is pristine.
That's right.
2-2 coming. Foul tip, strike 3. Syndergaard down on strikes. Back-to-back Ks for Familia. 16 now for the Mets this afternoon.
That's the split finger. And he doesn't split his fingers that much, so that's why he's still able to throw the ball well over 90. But it has enough movement and just enough drop in velocity.
So 2 out and nobody on. Now VR, who's 0 for 3 and a walk today. Mets will have 3, 4, and 5 in the batting order coming up in the bottom of the 9th. Cespedes, Frazier, and Flores. And Familia trying to set it up for that bottom of the 9th. 2 out and nobody on. And VR takes a pitch just out of the strike zone for ball 1.
You can hear Familia grunting from up here. Now let's go that baseball.
Every grunt keeps you warm, you know.
It does. I should have tried that.
We could try that between innings here. And now 2-0 to VR.
Although I think my comments have been more like grunts all afternoon.
16 strikeouts, a season high for the Mets. They've now struck out 152 batters in 129 innings. Incredible rate up and down this pitching staff. And now Familia falls behind VR 3-0 with Jesus Aguilar on deck. And there's ball 4. So after 2 strikeouts, a 4-pitch walk to VR. And VR very capable of stealing a base. He led the National League in stolen bases 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is where that's a little advantage, even though it's 2 outs for Milwaukee to get VR in scoring position. He's outstanding at stealing bases. Familia's a little slow to the plate.
And they're moving the Mets outfield back to no doubles in this spot where VR could score from first base on an extra base hit.
You know, really the problem with this defense with Nimmo so far in right center field is anything down the right field line.
Aguilar is 1 for 2 after coming in for an injured Eric Thames early in the game. Last time up, he had a dribbler to the left of the mound, and A.J. Ramos made a tremendous play going to his knees and throwing him out. There you see the stolen base numbers for VR, who had a dreadful year last year, wasn't on base nearly as much, and that as much as anything accounts for the drop off in the steals.
Didn't play as much down the stretch either.
He has 2 steals so far this year. He's running the pitch outside, and Lobaton can't handle it, and VR has the stolen base, and that moves the go-ahead run into scoring position with 2 out.
VR is sitting there. He's off the base, not even touching it, and now he gets on it.
Meanwhile, Familia has missed with 5 in a row after the 2 strikeouts, and he got Lorenzo Cain standing on deck. Aguilar is so far from the plate. You'd think he'd be vulnerable to the slider, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but he's a big guy. He's got long arms. He knows how to hit.
Now Nimmo shortens up in right field with that go-ahead run at second. And Familia runs it inside. That's 6 in a row out of the strike zone. And it's 2-0.
What I mean by that is that Aguilar is a smart, intelligent hitter. He really has a plan when he goes to the plate.
Familia needs a strike.
The thing about Familia, he goes through some spurts where just loses the strike zone for a half-dozen pitches.
Reyes staying close to the runner. VR at second. And that misses. 3-0. All of a sudden, the plate hard for Familia to find. Well, with Lorenzo Cain standing on deck, does Aguilar get a hit sign 3-0?
He can't, not after this many consecutive balls. can't be swinging 3-0.
And he does, but he fouls it off.
0-1. Me today.
Well,
it's just to me, it's just hard to even, because you're trying to lock in a pitch. How can you lock in a pitch off a guy who can't even lock in the pitch himself?
Now it's 3-1 to Aguilar. And it's lined, one hopper, grabbed by Rosario. Low throw picked up by Flores, side retired. Everything's an adventure on the throws by Rosario today, but on a hard hit ball, he's able to make the play, and the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the ninth, still tied at 2. Rosario, he made one run saving play early in this game.
Well, that's one of the best plays you've seen him make as a New York Met to end the inning. A one-hop smash to his backhand and the fine throw to first. But his throws after that, he's gotten to balls, but his throws have not been on the mark. Short hop Flores there, 2 runs scored on that. And then in the ninth, it's a hot shot, made it easy. Not a fast runner to first. And he tried to lollygag it over there, but maybe put a little more mustard on it.
Matt Albers on to pitch the bottom of the ninth. Yoenis Cespedes leads off, and he just gets out of the way. Ball 1.
Well, Matt Albers last year, his best year in the major leagues for the Washington Nationals, turned that into a good contract with the Brewers. So far, so good.
Albers, the closer of the moment for the Brewers, with Corey Knebel on the sidelines with a hamstring injury. Albers now 35 years old, and he quickly falls behind on Cespedes, 2-0.
Albers' success last year, and the many times that I saw him, he went to his slider often. But 2 fastballs there into Cespedes, but behind in the count now.
Cespedes 1 for 4 in his career against Albers. Todd Frazier on deck, then Wilmer Flores on the last of the ninth. And now it's 3-0. So Albers, like Familia in the last inning, losing contact with the strike zone. And Cespedes, you have to figure, is green lighted.
He's green lit in anything he wants to do here.
And he takes it down the middle for a strike, 3-1. Brewers had to go to their bullpen early today. Jhoulys Chacin threw just 4 innings. Taylor Williams an inning and 2/3. Jeremy Jefferson inning and a third. Dan Jennings a perfect 8th. And now Albers trying to get the game to extra innings. 3-1 to Cespedes leading off. And he swings and grounds one down to third. Travis Shaw throws on the money, 1 out.
You know, they've really been able to pitch all season long Cespedes inside. That's where they've been getting him out.
Sorry, I was just enjoying a little Sinatra.
Always when Frazier comes to the plate.
Seth Lugo will pitch the 10th if it gets that far. Frazier on base 3 times today. Had an RBI single in the first. He's also walked twice. And Albers keeps it inside on him, as he did on Cespedes. Todd's had quite a series. 5 hits in 7 at bats, including his first 2 home runs on Friday night. 3 infielders on the left side. And again it's inside, and it's 2-0. So the same deal as with Cespedes. Albers falling behind, trying to keep it in on the right-hand batter. Wilmer Flores waits to follow. Mets have had 6 hits today, the Brewers 4. 2-0 to Frazier. And that catches the corner, 2-1. Mets have left 12 runners on base today. They all came in the first 6 innings. They tied the game on Nimmo's home run in the 6th. They haven't had another hit since. And Frazier takes a fastball for a strike. 2-2. Todd is 0 for 3 against his former White Sox teammate. In tight, and a full count to Frazier.
All fastballs from Albers in this inning so far.
Frazier waiting on a 3-2. And he goes down swinging on the fastball. 2 men down. So 6 straight fastballs from Albers. Kept it inside for the most part, and he gets them.
Oh, good pitch there underneath the hands. Too close to take for Todd.
So that is 11 strikeouts for Milwaukee pitchers. Met pitchers have struck out 16. And now it's Flores with 2 out and nobody on. Wilmer 0 for 3 and a walk today. And he tops one off his foot, a foul ball. It hurts every day. It hurts more today. .40-degree temperatures, 20-mile-an-hour winds. And unless Wilmer can get something done here, extra innings. Flores tops one foul, and quickly it's 0-2.
Albers has that movement inside the right-handers that he'll start that ball where it's on the plate, but by the time it gets there, it's pretty much off the plate inside. And that's why the Mets hitters can't keep it fair or put it in play.
Just off the outside edge, and it's 1-2. If Flores were to keep it going, Ahmed Rosario would be next. One-two coming, And Flores hits it out to left center field, back in the gap, toward the wall. It's out of here! Wilmer Flores ends it with a walk-off home run. The Mets' first walk-off win of the year, and it's Wilmer who provides the game ender. Second home run of the year for Wilmer Flores, and the Mets take the rubber game of the series from Milwaukee. They're now 12-2 on the year.
5 series in a row for the Mets. They win this rubber game on the home run by Flores, and that's the first time in this inning that Alvarez went to the outside corner 2 times in a row, and this one caught the middle of the plate.
Third career walk-off home run for Wilmer Flores, and he got it. Two out, last of the ninth, down in the count, 1-2, and Wilmer sends them home happy.
I think you willed that so, my friend.
There's the game summary presented by Verizon. Wilmer Flores, the walk-off home run, makes a winner out of Familia. The Mets' magic continues. They take 2 of 3 from Milwaukee, 12-2 now on the season. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $30,000. SNY's Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. One big swing of Wilmer Flores' bat puts the Mets on top again. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Nissan. Take on the unexpected with Nissan's available intelligent safety shield technologies, innovation that excites. By Geico, the #1 insurer in the New York market. And by Cash for Life from the New York Lottery, you could win $1,000 a day for life. Final score this afternoon, the Mets 3, the Brewers 2. Tomorrow night, the Nationals come to town for the first of 3. Jacob deGrom on the mound for the Mets. Our coverage begins tomorrow night at 6:30 right here on SNY. Wilmer Flores, he knows what that feels like. And the Nats are coming to town tomorrow night. Wilmer Flores wins it for New York. Gets the Gatorade bath on a cold day. Now for Ron Darling, Steve Gelbs, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. Time for WB Mason post-game live.